Yay. Hello, folks.
Morning.
Hello.
It's another episode of Würfel Cast. It's episode 23, and we have a special guest.
Where?
Yeah. It's on that side of the ring. You know, in that corner of the ring, we have the one and only, the crusher of top tens. And I don't know. I haven't prepared. Okay, anyway. Look.
So the crusher of all positive reviews, I don't know.
True that as well.
Hello.
So Look is doing his own podcast, videos, reviews, tops, everything. I don't know what else you're doing. Lives, playing games. You're playing games. That's for sure. Anyway, and so we're gonna go through, a usual segments in this episode, but there's gonna be three of us. So bear in mind that
three times as long.
Yeah. It's gonna be longer, but we're gonna do it faster. And as usual, we'll try. Okay, we'll try. Yeah. As usual, we're gonna start with recent plays. And I'm gonna go into that special screen sharing mode, and we're using Board Game Geek as the screen share, and I'm gonna talk about our recent plays. So I don't know who's gonna start. Kyle, why don't you start?
Okay, well, my recent play this time is a game that showed up this week, and I've just played a lot of it. This is the new pinball game. I think it's called Super Skill Pinball 4K, and it's a roll and write pinball game. It's pretty good, actually. You've got the four different tables, and you're rolling. You roll the dice, obviously, and you move this little ball token around and score points in different ways. And the four different tables have four different ways of scoring. That's the basic one you see there in the picture. It's a lot of fun. The other ones are even better. It just works really well. It's good. It's good solo. It's good with other people, but it kind of feels like a solo game because you're just kind of doing your own thing. But it's and the boards are all already the dry erase boards, so you don't have to worry about laminating. The only problem, of course, is that your ball is moving over the top of them all the time, and kind of it can erase things on on accident. But other than that, I found it really quite compelling. And I've had a great time with it. I probably played it, I don't know, eight times this week.
Okay, yeah, I've heard about. I've seen that. I know nothing about that one.
Oh, it just came out. It was talked about for a little while, and then it showed up finally. It made me want to sing a certain Elton John song, but and I may have done so while playing it once. But other than that, I've just found it quite enjoyable.
I see. Right. Luke, have you played that one?
I haven't barely even heard of it. You mentioned it came out recently, so my mind is kind of thinking, oh yeah, do I remember browsing the new releases thing, seeing the word pinball? But I probably would have glossed over it instantly if I'd seen pinball on the board game, just because I think my mind would have said, "It's like, no, that can't be for me, surely." Yeah, it's like,
well,
nice to hear some positive buzz about it, though.
Yeah. It reminds me of the one Tetris style board game as well, where you heard about this is as a Tetris video game. I don't remember what's the name of that, but
there's several of those.
Yeah, but I mean, like the one that's literally you're just inserting the
drop it,
like dropping things into.
There's Drop It, and then there's a whole bunch of the sort of roll and write ones. There was Bricks.
Yeah, Drop It, I think, was the main one with pieces, and then there is a roll and write. I forget its name. I played it on Loopalooza's Twitch channel once.
Sweet.
It pretty much was a roll and write Tetris game.
Yeah, was it the Sweet something? No, it wasn't Sweet something.
I thought it began with Q or something weird, but.
Yeah, well, the one I'm thinking of, apparently there's lots of them. There's also the ones from, was it from Reiner Knizia? It was like Bits and another one that came out. Anyway, there's lots of those. pinball one that I'm aware of, and it really does do a good job at creating the pinball feel. And, because you're just selecting a die, you can be a lot better at this than you would at a real pinball game.
Okay. All right. So, look, is there anything you've played so far, like recently?
Well, I was going to say one that I played a few days ago. I've literally got one on my table at the moment that I've played, but this one will probably shock a few more people, so I'll go with the one from a few days ago. This is Stockpile.
Oh.
I think Norvu Games produced this one, and most people know from my channel and that I rag a lot on the stock market train games, all the 18xx's and stuff, because I just cannot stand that genre. I mean, I'm an accountant. I have to deal with shares every now and again in my job. It's not fun. It's like Wall Street's not on my top list of films. It's just not my scene. So the idea that I can actually get behind a stock market game in general is insane. But the thing is, this is a light one. This isn't the same as the train ones where you've got your company, you got to worry about what's the value of a company or dividends or anything like that. It's nowhere near that complex. This is more about the insider trading aspect. So it's probably more like a kind of rogue trader type game, and it's lighthearted and pretty straightforward. I mean, this one picture here is, I think that's the base one, although it might even be.
Oh, this is with the expansion. The first.
I was going to say that's got the epic. Is that from my recent feed? It looks like a picture I did, but but yeah, the Epic Edition I've got the expansions in it, and I throw in most of it. So, most of the modules are kind of like essential plays. But with this one, you've got several rounds, and you are collecting the shares from the different companies. But all the companies in the base set are identical, unless you flip the board over, and then they're slightly different. But each round, you get told secretly what company is going to do what in terms of go up or down in price. So you've got a bit of hidden information, and then at the bottom of the board, you can see there's columns of cards, and everybody populates those in turn order, and then we start bidding on them. And you basically carry on until each person's going to win a column by themselves. So it's a bit of a sort of frantic bidding war. Once you collect the cards, you resolve any major effects, or you keep the shares secret. And then it's a case of buy and sell throughout the game and try and win with the most money, like it always is. And compared to all the other stock games, which like burn your brain or anything, this one doesn't do that, but it's a lot more fun and sort of chaotic in a sense, because you might hold on to a bucket load of the green shares, and then suddenly somebody comes along with a card, tanks the price, you try and get up, and because there's hidden information, you know in advance that some of them are going to go up and down, but you watch what other people do in turn order. It's like, wait a minute, you're selling a bunch of your purples over there. I don't know. And then you start worrying about all the purples you've got. It's like, do they know something I don't? Maybe I should sell. And you always like try, do I trust that person, or are they just making money? Then you sell them, and then it goes up in price. You curse it. It's like, it's a case of timing. It's a case of, doing things at the best possible moment. And it is rewarding when you get, say, like if it reaches the end of the track, your shares effectively double. So it's great when you're holding about 5 of them. It goes up and you go, yeah, here's my money bank. And it's just bits on that. And the expansions just throw in some like extra player powers and some other cool effects like commodities that you can go for. But it's not dealing with a subject matter that's the most interesting ever. I mean, I've already ragged on enough stock market games, but you won't catch me playing stuff like 18xx or Arkwright or bits like that anytime soon. But I will happily pull this one out, because in 60 to 90 minutes we're done, and it's just a lot. Like I said, I keep saying the word lighthearted, but I can't think of another word to use.
It is. It's just a lighthearted economy game, and Kyle knows how much I love this game. And there's a story behind it. Like I didn't want to play this game, and I lost to a bet how long I can stay up the whole night playing games. So I lost to Kyle.
Me.
Yeah. So Kyle's. I said it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I said, no, I'm quitting. Okay, so we're gonna buy Stockpile now. Okay, I quit. I didn't want to buy it. I didn't want to play it. It looked so boring, and I played it. I was amazed. I was surprised. I just loved it. And the expansion. I mean, the expansion is essential because of the dice.
Yeah.
Makes the game.
The look is not the high selling point of it. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the art in this. But at the end of the day, it's clean. I can see everything. Nothing's ambiguous in terms of, iconography. You just have to look up the occasional investor at the start of the game, but that's literally it. Everything else on that board is fine, and sometimes you have to lift that ring up on the tracks in order to see the number below it, but a minor quibble. But, and it's not stupidly mathy. It's like, I can tell the difference between, I'll sell 3 shares at 5 or 4 shares at 4. It's
it's easy.
basic multiplication. There's nothing, it's no worse than something like Smartphone Inc. But it's just, like I say, everyone makes references or trash talks each other's like buying and selling decisions. And as I say, the dice, one of the modules in it are the forecast dice, which I will not play without.
Do you have the newest expansion? The what's it called?
Illicit Investments?
Yeah.
I've got the Epic Edition because I played this once, someone else's copy, and thought, I've heard good things from Tom Vassell, I'll go with it, but I'm not exactly expecting much because it is stock market. Then got amazed that I really enjoyed it, but then never saw it again for a good couple of years. And it was when they did a Kickstarter for the Epic version, I thought, now's a good time. It's a pretty cheap deal, and it has everything in it and one condensed rulebook, which is quite handy. But the Illicit Investments is okay. It has a first player variant, which you could pretty much just learn the rules and throw into every game. But I do like it. You essentially now have a first player card that you can that you chuck into the mix of all those columns.
Oh, really?
So it's everything for you to win, and then you choose whether to keep it or give it to another player. So it's not just generic turn order switching. That I'll throw into every game because it's a nice little twist. But I've not actually played with the rest of the expansion yet, which is these weird kind of special one-off ability cards that you play at different times. They look fine, but I can see that being a thing I'll throw into, say, 50% of my games and not as fussed.
Yeah. I mean, I got the expansion recently because there was a huge delay in distributing this newest expansion in Europe, and I was waiting. I pre-ordered that one in April or May. I just got this one, so I'm really looking forward to that one. We'll see. I'm always up for a game of Stockpile. I just love it.
Yeah, not a difficult one to teach either, which even with the expansion, which is good.
It's one of those games where if we do at some point, we're gonna do top 10 games where we laugh the most. That's one of those games. So chill. Anyway,
there's also an excellent app implementation if you're interested in that.
I played that one. Yeah, the app is good.
I have it on Steam. I've yet to open it up. I hope it's good because I'll probably do that as a solo mode video at one point. But
it is pretty good.
It is. All right. So the thing is now, as we are continuing from the last episode, the problem is that because of the situation in the world, there's a threat coming back, and so we agreed at some point with my friends and so with my girlfriend that we are not gonna invite any guests into our home and not play board games for a while. And so I know it's and I'm not a solo gamer. Yeah, I'm not a solo gamer, so but we found few, for example, we played Charterstone online, the Steam version, the digital version, but we started playing some video games as well. So I'm gonna do a stretch. It's a board game podcast, but who cares? Have you heard about the game called Phasmophobia? I don't know if it's on the Video Game Geek.
Literally only because I watched an Angry Joe video on it. They played it for about 10 minutes or something. And I mean, it looks all right, but what board game is this then? I mean,
no, it's a video game.
Oh, it's just a video game.
It's just a video game. Yeah, so I'm sorry to tell you that, but I mean, it's
that's all right. I mean, when we get to the top 10 later, my number 10 is Ori. So, and the Blind Forest. So we'll go with the video games there.
That's a villain of board game, video game. No, the thing is that this is like a Ghost Hunters, the board game. You are little ghost hunters trying to find the spots and the cold spots and some EMF and spirit box and thing. Just going into abandoned houses and schools and asylums and things. And it's a 4-player cooperative game. And this one has a voice recognition, where you can talk to the ghost, you can angry it, you can talk to each other. It's all in like, for example, I can scream from the other side of the hall, and you hear me as I'm like screaming. But if I talk quietly, you won't hear me because I talk to myself. You know, it's I have this kind of a cool
I've
sound.
heard these claims. I've got to play it in person to see how well it is, because I've seen people talk to a Ouija board, which looked interesting. But I thought, how broad can that be? But it sounds cool if it works.
It works, and it's scary. But it's not the best graphics, you know. But oh my god, it's when the ghost just does a subtle sound into your ear, like something like a garage, and you're like running away from a ghost, it can attack you. But, I mean, Phasmophobia is one of the surprises for me. I don't play video games that much, but this one that would be cool to have as a video game. Sorry, as a board game. So that's why. Well, segue into the board game. That would be cool as a board game.
I see.
Okay. So that was my recent play. Sorry for a stretch, but anyway, yeah. So that's basically it for recent plays. We're gonna go to the next segment, which is what's on KS. KS means Kickstarter. You all know that.
Really?
We're gonna go to the Kickstarter page now, and we're gonna talk about. And I don't know. Look, do you wanna tell me what's your Kickstarter running?
I thought this was your pick for a second there, and I was trying to think what on earth this was.
No,
not related. Thought he's enough on a tangent again. But if this isn't crossing over with people, I'll be surprised. But I mean, most of the Kickstarters I'm getting at the moment have sort of just arrived. I haven't, it's been a while since I've pledged for any, but I did pledge for the obvious one, Frostpunk, recently. The new one, because that's like the new hotness on Kickstarter right now, and with good reason, because going back to the whole video game front, I do have this on Steam, and it is a good amount of fun. The whole trying to survive the post-apocalyptic winter with your settlement, build buildings, try and feed yourself, try and stay heated with that big generator in the middle, making some morally questionable decisions as to what you want to do with your children or people who get out of line. Yeah, I mean, you'll get occasional time where you've got to put a law in place, and you've got to decide, you're going to put the kids into care homes where you've got to feed them, but they don't do anything, or do you put them to work in the research factories and that, even though there's a chance they might get injured or something. And spoiler alert, I put them to work. Hey, I got research is key. I need people to work. Pull your weight. But it's all right. I'm not having kids in the future, so it's fine. But the idea of a board game, though, perfect, because this is it's not from Awakened Realms, but the people who this Glass Cannon Unplugged is are people who used to work at Awakened Realms. They designed 4 of mine already on the shelf, and that means that this has already got the pedigree that they have done a morally controversial thematic game. That looks good. So it's like, great, you're already in that wheelhouse. It's already a video game that would translate well to a board game, especially as they are throwing in these story elements that can take place. It certainly looks the part. The fact that they came from Awakened Realms in general, I mean, they're on fire with a lot of their stuff lately when it comes to thematic games. And I don't know much else about the gameplay, because I prefer to get my Kickstarters like Christmas come 10 times a year.
Only 10?
It looks cool. I got a feeling I'll like it, but I'm not going to watch like a detailed playthrough or play it on Tabletop Simulator or anything. I'm like, look, I'll wait for it to come in the post. I'll just pass me luck on it. If I don't like it, I sell it on. If I do love it, then great. But at least I can sort of like a year's time go, oh yeah, I backed that one. Hey, I got a present in the post. So it works for me. But yeah, fingers crossed.
Cool.
Don't mess it up.
It's coming out October 2021, maybe. Nowhere near that.
But I mean, it's going to be a little while, but October 21 means that, I don't know, let's assume the world ever goes back to normal or something. I'll be able to go, oh, look, Essen and this. Sweet.
Yeah. So this one, 125 for the deluxe pledge and 75 for a core pledge.
Deluxe, all the way.
Of course. I mean, if you're already in.
11 days.
I want the minis. I want the giant cube tower generator thing. There's there'll be add-ons as well for these like big resources. I think they'll have them on the updates page because they just emailed about that. But yeah, fingers crossed.
All right. So, Kyle, what's your pick for Kickstarter game?
Okay, well, as you know, I have a Kickstarter problem. So,
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I'm close to 700 backed projects at this point.
Sorry, what? Gee.
You don't know, Kyle.
And my theory on Kickstarter is back it and hope that it's good, and then wait and see.
That doesn't work. There's a lot of garbage on Kickstarter.
I know there's a lot of garbage in my basement now. Anyway, the game that I want to talk about this week is one that is called Lord of the Chords. And this game, I don't know how good it looks, but it really, the guys who are doing it are super excited. It's kind of a music theory game.
I was going to say, was this on Dice Tower crowd surfing one time? You see the pictures, I might recognize it.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but the pictures are quite engaging. They're all
I'll be back.
Yeah, it's full of great, wonderful, well, mediocre puns. It seems to be almost kind of a take thatty type game, which is not my favorite thing. But what you're doing is kind of collecting these chords and playing them, and then hoping that somebody doesn't steal them from you. Not sure if that part's amazing. I don't know a thing about music, but I enjoy anything with a good pun in it, or even several bad puns. And if you watch these guys on their video, they just look very excited about the game. And I don't know. It looks like it might be, at least if not a good game, it'll be an interesting artifact.
Okay.
Yeah, this was on the crowd surfing one because I saw the cards, and I mean the idea of a music game does sound pretty good, and especially if it's teaching people how to do chords. Because I used to play the keyboard when I was younger, and I do recognize these are actual chords. I mean, they're not glossing over the actual music, but the gameplay didn't sort of sound up my street. And I know you like the puns thing. I can see myself going mad with the puns. But I can see this being good for, like, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a simple sort of family weight game. I could see this, being something in that line of, maybe not quite as bad as the Exploding Kitten stuff, but those light-hearted take that card games.
Oh my god!
Teach kids a bit of music. No
lists and to what our custom. Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
there's pretty much the whole game and the whole video is them making those
more puns that you can handle. Oh god!
Yeah, their puns are certainly off key, but their music. But
yeah, I'm a composer myself. But I mean, no. Oh my god. Okay.
This for me falls into.
I like that. I give my reason. It was just basically like I instantly disapprove of your choice, but I'm just going to be quiet about it.
You can disapprove of my choice. I don't know.
Ninja?
It falls into the category of games that just aren't like anything else in terms of theme. So I tend to have a soft spot for those.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique theme, and it could do with it, because I can only think of one other game that was remotely music themed, some weird orchestra game, Ninth Symphony or something like that, whatever it was. So don't think that ever.
Number 9, and then there was the one about conducting.
Yeah, they never took off either. So I mean, I wouldn't say no to a music themed game that was good, but I'm not sure this is the way to go about it.
I don't know. Yeah, Symphony Number 9 was really abstract. It was really Euro-y. Remember that.
Even if it went, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a full blown Euro, but if you did a full blown Euro, I mean, I wouldn't say no to kind of something maybe along the lines of Chikarion. Not quite that heavy, but that one you're putting on the show and you're getting the tricks and you're doing that magic show. If you could do something like that where you've got to get the components of your orchestra, the song, and bits like that, worker placement style, put on the show, how well is it received? I mean, you could even do a less serious one, more along the lines of Colosseum, I guess. That one you were putting on a show for the senators and that, but it was hilarious if you tried to put on this act and you were missing key components and you tried to describe exactly how stupid your show was when it was missing like chariots and things. And it's like 2 gladiators come out into the show to fight the lion, but we couldn't get the lion. This could be the same thing where you're trying to put on the show, but you're missing like the key drum set or something.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a game done like that.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see what happens about this one. It's estimated July 2021, is it? Yeah, and it's You get $40 the base game, and then you get $55 if you want to get Who Let the Chords Out expansion and Piano
Wow.
Box. Oh, sorry. So
That's not even a pun. That's just bad.
yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. So mine is
fun. Oh my god.
yeah, but I mean, mine is about environmental problems. I wanna save the world, and I wanna do that in a game called Cascadia.
Okay.
Um,
Title looks nice, pretty. I want to know more about this.
I mean, I looked into Kickstarter. I mean, like, I don't know exactly how it plays. I haven't looked into that too much, except Rado says it's the best game. Okay, whatever. Sorry.
How have I heard of this one?
Actually, to be fair, he pretty much loves everything that isn't mean. So yeah.
No, we're good.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, he's cool.
Anyway, this one is why I looked into this one. This one, I like to create. I like tile placement where you can create the worlds, and you have to match the landscape and things. I do like that. And then this one, you do that. You create the landscape for those animals, and then you put those animals out. I don't know. It's scores or whatever. It says variable scoring condition, but it just looks nice. It's a cool theme. It's a different theme from usual. It has a bag full of those tokens. Maybe you have another bag building, but maybe push a luck, kind of a taking things out of the bag.
It does look pretty, and I like Tile Lane. It seemed like a quite cheap price point as well. I'm not sure if I'd be desperate to kickstart it, unless, well, saying that you get some deluxe tiles. That would probably convince me, because I do like doing that. I'd be more hyped for this if the UK had got any copies of Coleco yet. I mean, I think any Coleco copies in play are the lucky few reviewers who got some. But I mean, I've put my name down for it. But I don't think it's had UK distribution yet, whereas I think all the Americans have got it.
Right.
And Coleco looks like fun. It's getting a lot of buzz, but I think I saw at the top this is the same designers, is it, or same publisher? I think it was at the top of the page. I definitely saw the word Coleco. Yeah, here we go. From the from the team that brought you Coleco. So it's like if I play Coleco and love it, then that will make me go, right, I want to try out Cascadia now. But because I haven't played Coleco yet, I haven't quite jumped on that train.
Yeah, the thing about this one is that it's by the artist is by Beth Sobel, and the theme, and it seems like the rules themselves are easy, and that's the one I need on my shelf as something I can play with, casual players, and get them into board games, because people do tend to like nature-themed games, at least in Estonia. I don't know. How about you? So yeah, that's Cascadia by Flat Out Games. It's August 2021, and it's $30 plus the shipping. I mean, shipping might be 30 more. It's usual for Kickstarter.
For a game that small, but yeah.
I paid. I had to cancel my Kickstarter for the newest, not the Rising Sun. I mean the newest one.
Ankh.
Yeah, because it was $100 pledge, and the shipping to Estonia was $50. And I said something. I said a few words which I cannot say here on the channel, and then I canceled my pledge because
I wasn't even interested in the game. I mean, I thought like, okay, this is just another one of these big minis fight on the board deals, and I've already got Rising Sun. I don't need 100 of those, particularly from the same team and designer, because it would just be the same sort of game. But yeah, when I saw the price in that, because I've just gone off Cool Mini or Not Kickstarter wise, I know I pay a ton of money for certain Kickstarters, but I feel like I'm getting the value in more than just minis. And Cool Mini or Not, like their way of doing things I don't like, because the game already costs a bomb, and then it's like, oh, here's 100 add-ons with all these miniatures and expansions, and if you don't buy it now, you're never going to get them at that price. And then by the time you realize, I forget how much I spent on Rising Sun, and as much as I love the game, I instantly regret how much I spent on it. So
yeah. All right, so we're done with the Kickstarter, and let's go to another segment, and it's called Guess That Game. And this is a game Well, about guessing that game. It's as easy as possible. We're gonna give hints to each other and try to guess the game. That's people know about that.
You underestimate your audience.
Yeah. All right. Who wants to start? Raise your hands.
One of you two, then at least I know how it works.
Okay. I'm gonna start.
Okay.
It's gonna be fast. The first hint about the first game. This game is takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. Have you got any guesses?
I think we might need a bit more than that.
Several hundred. Okay.
It narrows down to a few, but yeah, I mean, I need more.
Okay. In this game, you are attacked by raiders.
Raiders.
Yeah.
Is it that? It was a re-implementation of Defenders of the Earth, whatever it was called. What was
Defenders of the Last Stand.
No.
Yeah.
Not that one.
Okay. In this game, you can upgrade your trucks.
Oh, is it that Wasteland Express one?
Homeland, Wasteland Delivery Express.
Yeah, Wasteland Express Delivery Service. Yeah, that's the one. You got it right. Upgrading the trucks actually means.
Game. Yeah, that was a good fun one. I tend to go for the lighter pick up and deliver ones, but I still like that one. It was just a bit too
convoluted.
So a bit what? Sorry?
Convoluted, a bit like garish.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean I like the look of it, and I thought thematically it was pretty sound. I think it was just a bit too big and long for what I wanted to pick up and deliver, because it's like nigh on 2.5, 3 hour games half the time.
Yeah.
It's quite a lengthy affair. I would have just liked maybe if the length was cut in half, I think it would have been perfection.
A little bit more streamlined, that would be perfect, because the idea was amazing. Mad Max Universe thing,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, Kyle.
All right.
Give us
so
a hint.
Mine is a game about escaping from a dungeon.
Every dungeon crawl ever.
There you go.
Gloomhaven. I don't know.
No, it is not that one. In this game, This game is it's about escaping and doing it as quickly as possible, but it's more about positioning and hiding.
I don't know. I don't play dungeon crawlers. Claustrophobia. I don't know.
It might not even be a dungeon crawl. That was more of a gag. But escaping from one where you got to hide. That's different, because normally you sort of bash your way out and kick the door down and all that lot. And I did have one or two ideas at first, but it's like, no, not with the added hiding bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. In this game, you're being chased by a monster.
Oh, my God. You're chased by a monster?
Oh, well,
one of the games.
Chased by it. One just rears its ugly head every now and again, but you went into the dungeon first before you tried to escape from it. Which would be
That's true. But that's not the one.
Yeah.
All right. In this game, your pieces have values. They're the values of 7. So one side will be a 1. You move it and flip it over, and then it can move 6. And then you've got a 2 and a 5 and a 3 and a 4.
Oh, the fearsome floors.
There you go.
I've not played that one. Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought, is that really a dungeon? Is it? All right.
Yeah, you're in a dungeon and you're escaping from a monster.
I know you're like being chased by Frankenstein or something, but I didn't know it was a dungeon setting. I thought it was just a monster movie thing. All right.
Well,
They
it's
kinda call
more
it
of a
Frankenstein.
traditional locked away type dungeon than the kind of dungeon that contains treasures.
Right. That's right. I'd not played that one, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one, though. Mm-hmm. All right.
Who knows? Right, I only came up with 3 clues for each of those. I might have to think of some on the fly if you don't get some.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I gotta pick. And mine are a little bit more cryptic in places, so we'll give this one a go. This one, it's got a ton of. Well, this one is based on another popular geeky hobby.
Painting.
Patchwork.
Age of Sigmar.
Quilting geeky hobbies out there.
Okay, I don't know.
Right. Hang on. Sorry, going a bit fast there. Another cryptic one. It's got a ton of variety in the box, but for the most part, it barely matters in the sense that you wouldn't notice if the variety really wasn't there.
Oh my god, that was
Next one will be easier, don't worry.
Kyle, do you have a clue?
Yeah, not coming up with anything here.
All right, what's the bit of an easy one? It's like it features a ton of multicolored dice in large quantities that you basically take from a bag and use. Based on a very popular geeky hobby. It kind of sits alongside board games.
Like
For the role player.
Yes.
Yes, role player.
Yeah, I mean, it's by the time you've got expansions or even like that in it, you end up with so many of the character sheets or the backgrounds or the alignment cards or something, and it's just like, yeah, it's great to have that other thing, but at the end of the day, it's just what color combination it is. It's like it doesn't actually make any major tangible difference. It's just you've got a ton of them.
That's true.
Yep. A puzzle. All right, so one more round. And mine is, you're gonna guess it from the first hint. It's the best hint ever. That's a dexterity game.
Well, that's an entire genre.
I know. Let me give you another hint.
There you go. Is the first guess.
Another one, but you're close. Not really, but I mean, no.
Only one similar to that.
Another hint is it's a real-time game. Partially, let's say. Okay.
Oh, it's not that new one. Actually, wait a minute.
Real-time.
Try that. It's not that Mega City one, is it? I don't remember if it had real-time elements in it.
Mega City Oceano?
Yeah. No, that's not.
No,
not about that.
Real-time.
Yeah. Let me give you another hint. In this game, you have to stack stuff. Let's say stuff.
Is it Junkard?
No.
That one's not done to time, though. Nor things like Tokyo Highway or any of those other ones, or Rhino Hero and all that. That's not real time.
Like, give me another hint. Yeah. The player boards are circular, almost like a ring, or almost like a
Maple Circus.
Yes, that's the one.
It is real time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The part of that, that's a kind of partial because Maple Circus a great fun, especially when you have the final countdown thing or whatever it is, the final show.
Something like that, yeah.
And then everybody's looking at you, like really. It's so hard. It's so hard.
It's off-putting, although I hate it when people sort of deliberately try and mess you up. It's like, it's like I'm trying to build here. Yes, you can stare at me, but you can't like move the table or jolt me or say something weird at the last minute or something. And some people do that.
But I mean, they have a eye power or something like that because even if they're just staring at me, everything falls all the time. I don't know what happened there.
Stupid elephant. They're out of balance.
All right, so Kyle, yours.
All right. So this is a highly thematic worker placement game.
Highly thematic worker placement. Oh, that's what it's called. The Lords of Waterdeep. It's so thematic.
I think you might have misunderstood what highly thematic means.
I don't think he meant sarcasm in his first.
No, it's a highly thematic worker placement game.
I mean, highly thematic. I mean, first one comes to my mind as I look at my shelf, anachrony.
No, not an acronym. Mm-hmm. All right. In this game has story elements.
Does Maracaibo have like
no?
No, I don't know.
That's not a worker placement.
No, that's not worker. But even then, elements. No, I mean, you're talking what magic elements or like nature elements, water, earth, and all that.
I said story elements.
Story elements. I thought you said storing elements.
No. Story elements.
For a workplace? It's not Robinson Crusoe, is it?
No, although that's fair, but no. It's not a cooperative game. In this game, this game is really, really long. That's my next hint.
highly thematic worker placement game that's long and has story elements.
Yeah, especially one that's highly thematic as well. That's always a bit.
Is the colonists or something like that? Is this one a worker placement?
Not really. That's not a worker placement game.
No, it's not worker placement.
Okay, I don't know.
Not highly thematic. Okay. In this game, you are sending your workers out to collect body parts.
Oh, the abomination.
Yes.
The heir of Frankenstein. Glad had games.
Not played that one. You could have gone on forever. I wouldn't have got those.
Well, yes, Abomination. A highly thematic, very long worker placement game.
It's the same. It has the same problem as Wasteland Express Delivery Service because it's just too long for.
The theme sounds good. The theme sounds good, and fair enough if it's got story elements in that. But for something like that to be really long, it's like, why is it really long? It's got to justify it.
It's so long that I almost always, when they came out with the quick version, that's sort of my default at this point. It's
the Ivan version or whatever the.
Yeah, the Ivan variant or Igor variant.
Igor, sorry.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay, I heard that name, but
yeah, it's a faster version. It cuts out 2 or 3 of the rounds, and it makes it a decent length. As it is, it's a little bit too long.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's see if I can get an easier one off my list than the last one. This one should be better. The hardest clue first. The key component of this game is compatible with multiple games that are similar to it.
Oh, the escape room something?
Is it a roll and write game?
Oh, I'm done with roll and writes. But yeah, I mean, escape rooms and that could work, but no, not that. It features bunny rabbits.
What? Oh my god. Bunny Kingdom is the only one I know.
I knew somebody was going to guess that one, but no.
It's not Killer Bunnies, is it?
Not what, sorry?
Killer Bunnies.
Oh, no. God, no. Not that one. That sounds like something you would back on Kickstarter, though.
Probably is.
Probably you have.
The third one, it was a Spiel des Jahres winner, specifically from 2010.
2010.
Do not Google. Oh my god.
Sorry?
Dixit.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Bunny rabbits are your scoring markers in it.
True, yes.
And the Dixit cards themselves, I can stick them with Mysterium, Obscurio, more copies of Dixit, Mysterium Park even, which is somewhere in my game bag, I think. But yeah, you can mix and match them to your heart's content, and it really doesn't break the game.
True. You can just stick them on the wall and create a picture, a weird Picasso picture and all.
I mean, I was going to say, yeah, even this one or something, you can basically just stick a bunch of them in there and it will still work.
All right, so this is Guess That Game.
There you go.
Let's get back to a screen share, and we'll get to another segment, and that's Under and Over. So it's all about the games that you can play under the table and on the table. No, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about underrated and overrated games here. So, and I think we can start with Luke.
Doing both or which one?
Well, you can do both, yeah. Do underrated game and then the overrated one.
Get it on the screen so I got
You can make people angry twice. So.
I don't think people should be angry about my under. They're going to be angry about my over. Tell me about that. But
true that, yeah.
Now, underrated. This is Tasty Minstrel Games. So this one's about like rank 3,700 on Board Game Geek, and that's kind of criminal for this one. But even Zero agrees on this. They did a game before called Pioneer Days, which again didn't get a huge amount of buzz, but the sequel to it, Old West Empresario, is the newest one they did. Still that same kind of world. It's kind of like the semi-sequel to it, even though they're very different games. But for city building fans, this is one that's definitely worth checking out because, you're talking a 60-minute game, probably 75 minutes, 90 absolute max with players that are AP like crazy or something. But I mean, it's a fairly quick game. But with it, you're you're building up your city settlement with these tiles, each one with a different building that has a different effect and way it scores. There's a bit of iconography you got to get used to. That is a slight flaw, but not a massive one. And the way it works is that you've got these columns with, as I say at the top there, that hold 2 tiles apiece, and they're activated by dice. You roll the dice and allocate them as necessary, and then you take it in turns to draft those dice. I always like dice drafting. But when you take the die, you can either take one of the city tiles there, or you activate all the tiles in your city that have that same number. Yeah. So you can decide, all right, I'm going to build this up, or you might build a city up to go, right, well, I can do something with any number, just not as much. Or you can gear yourself up to say, every time I take a 4, loads of stuff triggers and I get all this cool stuff. But now I am desperately hunting for the 4 every time it appears out there. And obviously you don't want people to take it because it's turn order, so someone might take your die or take your building. Add a few player powers on top, a couple of, I think one other mechanic, I forget what it is, with some scoring and just that. But the game itself is just a very simple one. The only bit that I think hurt this one rating wise is maybe I don't think it got buzzed about as much by Tasty and Minstrel. I don't think they were sort of broadcasting it much. And maybe some people just got put off the iconography side of it because there is quite a lot of effects you got to deal with. I mean, there's a good reference sheet for it, but your inns might be scores 1 for every tavern next door to it. Your bank might be scores based on this and that. And I think when you've got all those different scoring effects linking up, it can be a little bit of a fiddly side to it. Maybe that didn't help. But I think it was just that it just didn't get broadcasted much and it just got lost in the ether. But this is a fun city building game. This was top 100 worthy.
All right, yeah. This one, that's the one I skipped. I want to try that one out because I like the Pioneer Days. So if you say the dice drafting is kind of like that, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, both are on the shelf. I mean, it's dice drafting, although this doesn't have, I don't think this has the similar thing of what I do love in dice drafters, where the last dice does something.
But yeah,
that happens in this one, but it's just the fact that your dice trigger a lot more than they did in the previous one.
Yeah, but I do like building in games. That's where I sit, and that one sounds great because I can build up. That's one of my favorite things.
You can have some very different cities. Placement's important as well. It's not just I'll have the tiles and that counts. You've got to think, all right, that scores better if this surrounds it. So you are still trying to build it in a constructive manner. It's a sweet one.
Okay. All right. So what's your already game?
Well, people
just for a moment, in the video game that I talked about, the Phasmophobia, just a side note, if you if you tell the ghost name too much, it will get angry and attack you. So say the name. Get it? Make it angry.
Make it angry. Well, most people would expect similar game, like the same game, to be talked about on this list because I constantly rag on to things like Concordia, Great Western Trail, and Gloomhaven, and a few others or something. But that's getting old. That's like, well, it's not getting old. I'll still do it, but it's like beating a dead horse. It's like, okay, that. And it's not so much overrated. It's more I just hate those games for whatever reason. But this one I don't mind. You could get me to play it, but I still don't like this designer's games very much. And this one just gets buzzed about all the time. Why does everyone go mad over the Castles of Burgundy? Honestly, I don't hate this one, but I do find a lot of Feld games just generally quite dull. So he doesn't have any theme whatsoever. It's just mechanics. But this one, I mean, forget the aesthetics for a bit because they are horrible. I mean, it's colorful, but the artwork in this is pretty dire. And even the fans, when I read the good reviews of this, say that as well, that this is not a looker and it's not particularly well produced. And even though they reprinted it, they still made some of the components just as bad, if not worse. It's like, how do you do that with a reprint? I mean, come on, take a leaf out of Fantasy Flight's book. But with this one, it's not like I say, it is not the worst game. I just found it boring. You roll these dice, you build your little village there, and depending on what space you're allowed to put them on, they trigger some way of getting points. But there's nothing that interesting about the city you're building. I mean, I just mentioned all the cool stuff that triggers with Old West. Here, it's pretty much just roll 2 dice, get a goods dice as well, take it in turns, put this generic building on your settlement. It will score points in some way, and then eventually you get more points here, and then someone wins. It doesn't feel like I'm engaged, and it takes far too long for what it is. This is meant to be like a kind of entry level build. Like, oh yeah, simple game, new players can get it, and fair enough. It's not a particularly taxing game, so like I say, I don't hate it. I just think that's sort of below average. But for a game that's meant to be quite simplistic, it takes a good long while. I mean, the timer says 30 to 90 minutes. Yeah, right. You play this. I mean, most people will play this 2-player. And fair enough. I think that's the only way I would ever want to play it again. But you start putting 4 players on this, it's starting to take an hour and a half for a dice luck game, which, yes, you can mitigate the dice, but only so much. But 90 minutes for something like this is just way too long. And even a lot of the fans will say, I love this game, but I only play it with my spouse. So, so even they acknowledge those flaws. They just like the rest of the game. Unfortunately, I just don't overly like the rest of it.
Yeah, it's not a good looker, and I played it a long time ago, and I played with a person who really likes the game.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to teach the game to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. I need to try out Feld and see what I think about him. And as a designer, I said, okay, I see why you like the game, but no, there are so many better games.
It just gets better games. So much though. Is it ranked 14 on Board Game Geek? It claims its weight 3 out of 5, which I still don't get because this is not the most in-depth game ever.
No,
I don't see how can it be 3? I can think of mid-weight games that don't score that high on the weight factor, and I can guarantee they require more thinking power than this one does.
But I mean, like if you think about that, at the time when people inserted the stats into Board Game Geek, maybe at that time it was, compared to all the other games, it was quite difficult to play. But nowadays, when you have, like, for example, an Acrony or Tricerion, whatever, these look even of a more challenging games than this one. Yeah. It's just people don't change things.
Yeah, I mean, I gave up on trusting the stats of BGG a long time ago. It's just it's a database. I can find out about the games, but I in no way trust their rankings or stats.
Well, I quite enjoy this game, but I will agree that it is a bit long and best with 2. And not exactly a looker.
Kyle, you're suspended. You're suspended.
I'm suspended.
I don't get a lot of 2-player only games to the table because of circumstances. So if a game is like, oh, it's for multiplayer, but really you should only play it with 2, and it's like, well, make it a 2-player game then. It's like, don't shove 3 or 4 players on the box when nobody likes it that amount. But you can't forgive the reprints.
Oh,
yeah, I haven't seen the reprint, so
it's just such low effort. I mean, this is a game that's ranked so high, and you're literally just going, yeah, we'll just reprint it. Whatever. Copies in the word. It's popular. People will buy it,
All right. So let's go to me then. Probably, I don't know. We'll try it that way this time. So one of my underrated games is the one I talked about a lot before, especially. And this one of the Blender episodes, Board Game Blender episodes on Dice Tower. We did a Blender segment on that one. And I'm talking about Kaleika. Kaleika or the Q. Yeah, this one, it's I know it's under because it's under the radar basically because it's published by. You play that?
No, how do you spell it?
KOL. Well, you can see it there.
EJKA.
Is that even a word?
Not in English.
Oh, Kaleika Organic or whatever it's called. Oh no, I see it.
Kaleika, yeah, the organic. Organic means fire in Polish, I think.
Rank 1500. I have never heard of this game.
It's an interesting artifact.
You should look at our Blender segment. But the thing is that this game, why I like this game still, why I want it to be reprinted with maybe some extra mechanics or like re-implemented, because this is the game that uses worker placement as a queue. You're putting meeples in a queue, trying to get clothes and some other stuff and furniture and thing for your family because you have like a bucket list you want to collect. Basically, it's
not
a collection game.
It's a shopping worker placement game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
set in communist era of Poland. So it's like,
yeah,
It's the breadline board game.
yeah. But basically,
this needed a UK market. The British people just queue for everything. We moan about it all the time, but we are like the nation's queuers. This sounds like it's tailor-made for our country.
yeah, yeah. But in this game, I really like this queue mechanic because you have everybody has the same number of cards, and these are basically the same cards you have in your hand. This special abilities, and you can manipulate the queue. Like for example, you have a card that I have a baby. Let me in front of the queue, and, or whatever. Or I say that, oh, this person talked about the politics really badly, and then he goes to the end of the queue, and things like that, small puns, but these are like really cool ones, and
It's like
yeah,
guillotine and Beastie Bar taken to a whole different level.
It pretty much is.
And if you get the expansion, Ogonek is the expansion adds vodka, and you can go to the kind of a black market, the underground market, and then get the shopping list, stuff from there and exchange it. You have to give them vodka and they give you stuff, things like that, basically. So it's hilarious. It's different. There's no other game like that. It's so
Theme-wise,
unique.
it does sound hilarious. I mean, if anything's hurting it, it's just the look. I know it's trying to be like communist era, tail end of communist era Poland or something, so it can't exactly look flashy, but it could certainly use a bit of an aesthetic like upgrade or something, because it is like quite sort of browns and grays. But theme-wise, that just sounds hilarious.
Oh, you can see the cards, but these are in Polish. But
Yeah. The version I had, I bought from Poland, and you had to put stickers over the cards to make them not in Polish.
No.
no, but I mean, like they had stickers for different languages, which I like that because you can buy the copy and you don't have to worry if it's English or Spanish or whatever,
It's more
or
the
German.
stickers.
Yeah, I don't care.
But
anyway, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Those are
The dog.
1,500 even.
all right. So Kalekan, my underrated one, and my overrated one is the one we talked about already, not on this segment, but on the previous segment. And don't get me wrong, but I feel that this is overrated as a game. And I'm
Please
talking
say it
about
was one of Carl's choices.
it's Dixit. It's Dixit.
No.
No. Dixit is not a game. Dixit is an activity.
Fantastic.
The scoring. Why do you need the scoring?
Actually, the scoring's wonderful. One of the best parts of it.
It's not. You don't need the
He
scoring.
don't know what he's saying. He don't know what he's saying. There.
Why? I mean, like, I do like the cards, but it's an activity. It's not even the game.
I mean,
it doesn't work all the time. And there's Mysterium, there's Obscurio, there's 800 of other games. I mean, like now,
800, but okay.
people are still talking about Dixit. I mean, I want people to forget Dixit. Forget it.
I can side with you on one thing. It doesn't desperately need, I mean, I don't know how it would work if you didn't have a scoring thing in it, but people aren't that fussed about whether they win it or not. It's just more the craziness with some of the stuff they do. Because every time I play this, I've done it to ex-girlfriends before, and no, this is not the reason they're ex-girlfriends, but I always like to take a card and say my clue word is this reminds me of, and choose a person at the table. And I did that to one of my ex-girlfriends before because when we were dating, I met their family for the first time. And so I showed them Dixit because they knew I was in the games. And I thought, let me just try it now. And I said, this comes to mind when I think of, the girlfriend. And then I just laugh as I see her reaction as these cards get flipped in the middle of all the weird stuff from the parents and siblings. It's just like, you guys need to have a little chin wag or something because I don't think they're telling you everything. But this one just, I mean, it goes well with the parents. I know my brother's fiance doesn't like it at all, but my parents have loved it, and I've gone mad with this one. I mean, that Odyssey does that, but this thing is crammed with. I don't know if I can get the microphone out the way. It's getting annoying. But yeah, there's trying to get the cab. That bit is jam packed.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that has got almost every expansion in the thing. I love this game.
I mean, if you want to take out the scoring from Dixit, for example, you're not so keen on the scoring, then just sell this game and buy Obscurio. I mean, That's the way you do.
I'll keep the scoring, but I mean, I'll agree that might put some off. I mean, I wouldn't say there was 800 games as this either. I mean, I think I own all but one of the games that does have this mechanic. I don't have Muse because I thought that was only kind of average.
Yeah.
But Detective
Anyway.
Club, you just mentioned somebody. Oh no, disagree.
It's not a bad activity, but it's not a game.
Well,
Okay,
it's a game. It doesn't have to be a game per se. Illustrations is not a game. It's still hilarious.
I don't care about that one either. Okay,
You're not a party gamer. Okay, fair enough.
no. We'll get back to that. But let's give some hate to Kyle now.
Okay. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Bring it on, Kyle.
I probably won't have
All
heard
right.
of the 2 games, so it won't matter.
So my underrated game is a game that I don't know that many people remember, and that's why I think it's underrated. The game is called, in English, the title is Funny Friends.
Okay.
And this is a game from Friedman Fries, and what you're doing, it's sort of an auction type game, and you have a goal. Like your life goal might be to have a double coronary bypass. And so you have to do activities that give you, that generate excessive weight and that that have other things so that you can meet this goal. And all of the goals you have. Well, yeah, okay. I mean, that's just the goal you're given at the beginning of the game. And various other activities you're getting. And so you're trying to develop things like, I don't know, if you're a healthy person, you're going to want to avoid things like alcohol and smoking. But if you have a not very healthy goal, you're going to want to, take your trip to Amsterdam and gain all of those attributes. And you're going through this, you're sort of telling your story. It's kind of like, it feels like the game of life thematically, except it's nothing like that. It feels like that Pursuit of Happiness game, except it's a little bit darker. And but the artwork is hilarious. The way that the different activities you're going through, the way that they all connect and sort of like, okay, I go to this place and I do this thing and that gives me that attribute. It's a hilarious game. The mechanisms aren't all that amazing, right? You're pretty much just bidding on things and trying to get the cards that you want that are going to help you gain the attributes that you need for your particular goal. But just the stories that the game tells and the way that the things work together is just fantastic. And it's kind of sad that this game has fallen off of just about everybody's radar.
The thing is, there's a key word in the category classification there, and it was the first thing that came to my mind. It says mature/adult. This is not what I would call a family game. When you read the description and it says he can repeat a school year and get new friends, start smoking, take part in a Bible discussion group, and have his first intercourse during Oktoberfest. It's like, yeah, okay. This is definitely not family weight.
No, it's not a family game, but it's not an adult. It's not like what is that?
Oh, like Cards Against Humanity
or anything. All of the things sort of have a reason, but you're right. It is definitely a more mature audience.
It does sound funny, though. It sounds like something that would be good for a little laugh. Again, it probably just could use an aesthetic upgrade, because I'll bet this one wasn't taken off the shelf. Although 2005, I can forgive it a bit because it was like quite old school for aesthetics. But I can tell you've got a bit of a Freedom and Freeze thing, because didn't you also talk? Your clue word was Fearsome Flaws, and now we've got Funny Friends. Clearly, this is a minor that goes well for you, I think.
I do enjoy many of his games. It's sort of, when I thought of Fearsome Floors, that sort of brought this one up in my mind because they're right next to each other on the shelf.
Is it the fact that he always names his games FF? So it's like something two words with F's.
Yeah. Well, some of them have more than 2 F's, like Fast Flowing Florist Fellers. But yes, they all do start with F, in German at least.
Fish flipping through the Kellen. What did I say?
Yes, that's the first one of the trilogy in which Fearsome Floors is the third entry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. Like next time on Würfelcast, live playthrough of Funny Friends and Fearsome Floors.
Well, you demonetizes you.
Felony. Okay. All right. So, what's your overrated game?
So my overrated
bring in the hate.
Game, and I don't know. Some people like this game, and it used to be really popular. I used to see it played at every game day. The game is one that I never really found very exciting, and the game is Hanabi. And so this is a cooperative game where you're holding your cards out and you're trying to communicate and get people to put things down in a particular order. It just, I don't know. It's, first of all, there are some people who take it way too seriously. And if you play with them, they're going to be angry at you if you give the wrong clue and shoot, visual daggers at you for the rest of the day, or just yell at you.
Actually.
But even if you're playing with people who are able to take it lightly, it just never becomes very exciting. It was one of the Spiel des Jahres winners, although it was in a pretty weak year.
I think it had some half decent competition. I think it was 2011. I think this one was. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I like the game fine. I must admit, I've kind of burnt out on it now. I liked it more when I was first playing it, and it has a little bit of a connection because one girlfriend I had really wasn't into the games that I did, but I didn't really mind. We did other things, but the one or two games that she did like, we always had to bring out on camping trips together, and Hanabi was one of them that she just latched onto. So we played that a lot, 2-player. And I mean, I like the game fine. I think it's a cool, unique design to it. The whole cards away from you and having the limited communication front, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody really talks about it now. I think it's kind of had its day, and now it doesn't get played or doesn't get the buzz anymore. Unless you are my friend from my Southampton group, who I swear probably owns about 5 games, but is obsessed with this game. I mean, he had the card game, he upgraded to the domino tile deluxe version. His domino tiles are worn out. Like they've got marks on them. That's how much he brings it to every single meetup, and it gets played because a lot of people in that group, only do the lighter games, and this is usually what he brings out while the rest of us are turning up.
That's where I feel it's not overrated. I mean, like it is the one that just works.
Yeah, I mean, 376 on Board Game Geek. That seems about right. It's had its day, and some people still play it and like it. But I mean, if somebody says, "Oh, we got some quick filler for a few people," occasionally I might suggest an RB, but I can think of a ton of other stuff. I think it's just got too much competition now.
Yeah.
Yes,
but I mean, yeah, I can certainly get people's reasons for not liking it. I just don't think it's that level. I mean, if you said this back then when it actually won the Spiel des Jahres, then yeah, I mean, you could easily say overrated at that point. Although I'm curious. This was Spiel des Jahres 2011, right? I think. Yeah, because 2011 was 2010 was Dixit. So
Hanabi is 2013. It says here.
Oh, is it 13? Because I think it came out in 2010. But I mean, like I say, the timing of the Spiel des Jahres is weird. It's like I never. But what were so what did it have? It had Quicks and Augustus. Divinaire, Escape, Curse of the Temple, mixed. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say. I suppose actually, looking at this,
I think I like Escape, Curse of the Temple more, but yeah,
not the weakest year ever. I mean, Libertalia, not too bad. Palaces of Carrara should have had. Or did that win it? I can't remember. I remember if that.
No, Palaces. Legends of Andor won the Kenner that year.
Oh, Legends of Andor. An abysmal game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a puzzle game. It's not a thematic game. I mean, I do at least respect the artist because he's one of my favorite artists when it comes to board games, Michael Menzel. So anytime he's designing
the artist and the designer of that one,
he designed that one as well. I mean, the game works. It's just I wanted a thematic adventure game, and it's not. But it still functioned fine. But I still love the board on it. So anytime I see Michael Menzel's art on a game, I'm like, I want to look at the board, and it's always the thing I'm staring at all game, even like at the expense of playing well. But I would have liked Palaces of Carrera to have won that, and Bruges can go burn for all I care. Not a good game. Not a good game.
Okay, so let's go to another segment, and that's called Funky Components. We're going to talk about the components which are outstanding, weird, funky, as I told you before. Components you want to highlight and that can highlight themselves by being ridiculous.
Okay.
So, Kyle, what's your pick for the funky components?
Okay, this time my choice is a game called Kushi Express.
How do you spell that?
Kushi.
Shai. Okay.
Shi.
Oh,
Kushi Express.
okay.
So this is a little sort of racing type dexterity game, sort of like in the Ghost Blitz, or you're trying to complete this kind of a pattern very quickly. What you have though is these sticks, and they have these meat cubes that you're trying to put on in various orders, and you have to stick the stick through there, and it often gets stuck. And then if you saw another picture, there's these bacon ribbons that you have to wrap around them, and these cheese ribbons that you have to wrap around them. And it just becomes a very interesting tactical puzzle done in fast speed that I just really enjoy. The components are really what makes the game. The game itself is not amazing, but it's decent and fun. But the components themselves really help you to have a great experience with it.
Okay, looks cool. Yeah, indeed. All right, I've never played this game. I know nothing about this game. All right.
So it gives it kind of like 3D wasabi feel.
Yeah, kind of like that, except, different game, but...
Well, I mean, it's the whole sushi theme in that one.
Sure, yeah.
All right, look, what's your pick for a funky component?
I can't be bothered to get it out of the box as big as it is, but I'll change it to my second choice though. Now you mentioned the word ridiculous, as like the first choice I had was just the Seasons Boulder dice, and it's like they're not particularly ridiculous. I just go fangirl over them every time. But if you look up Edge of Darkness, it is somewhat ridiculous, but it's just funny that game has got a table presence like no other already. It's already got a ton of boards, ton of cards everywhere, your player boards and everything. But then just to top it off, you have.
Is it Age of Darkness?
Edge of Darkness.
Edge of Darkness.
EDGE.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Edge.
Yeah, Edge, not Age.
All right. And what are you looking at here?
As of that, looking at that, if you scroll through the images, you'll probably notice it when you see it. But yeah, look at the background of that photo. Towering insanity there. That is a cube tower. And its purpose is you put the backsides of 3 cards on it to represent like monsters and minions that can come and attack your city. I mean, I love the game. The game's fantastic. It's a sequel to like Mystic Vale, the card crafting thing. But it's worker placement as well. But that tower, it's got the 3 cards that you put on it to say minions. As you take cards from the tableau to do the normal card crafting stuff, you've got cubes that come off them depending on how good the card is. You drop in that cube tower, it comes out of one of 3 bits at the bottom there, and then as soon as it reaches a certain number, depending on who's got the most of the color in there, is the person the thing attacks. But it could also attack everybody if it's mostly black cubes. But it's just the fact that on top of everything else on the table, you then have that thing just towering over it, and anybody who comes around and looks at the game will see all these pieces and just go, is that thing
bonkers?
And to say, and it is just basically a cube tower. All the cube towers are generally quite big, but if you imagine that the box is essentially like a Gloomhaven sized crate, maybe not quite as bad, but still it's pretty large, and a good chunk of that is that thing. It's just in there. But still love the game and everything about it, but it's just like,
That looks good. Yeah, seen before. All right, so my choice for the funky components is I got a game for review. I recently have to do a video for Essen, digital one. I don't know what are they gonna do with the video. I don't know, but whatever. I got the game, and the game is called Glyph Chess. And this one has those really cool 3D pieces. Maybe you can see them here as well. As you can see, they look like metallic pieces. I don't know what they're made of. I mean, it's not plastic exactly. It's something weird, something different. But these look really cool. And these are like almost like chess pieces, basically, They have their own special abilities, but they have special abilities which are like they can jump over things or whatever, or move faster, or they can incinerate the piece out of the game completely, or whatever, Certain cards respond to them. I haven't played the game yet. I'm about to play it, but it's a 2-player game itself. But those pieces, how they look, it's just amazing. I mean,
it looked cool, wasn't it? I mean, this came out 2018, so it's been in Essen a couple of times. I've not even noticed this. I've been at Essen every year since I started going to it, and I've not even seen action. So I'm quite surprised. But 8,000 on Board Game Geek. I'm surprised this hasn't had more people mention it, especially just with those pieces. I mean, maybe they see the word chess and they just go, "Oh, instant dislike."
Yeah. It wasn't Kickstarter, I think, and maybe it's maybe there was like a reprint or the official publishing. I don't know.
I mean, it's a very indie publisher because I mean it's like Blue Piper Studio or something. I've not even heard of them. They probably only got 1 or 2 years. Lu Zhao Xin Shen. So this is giving me an impression that it's a sort of like Asian market game, perhaps. Although Madigo is down as a publisher, so they must have tried it at some point. Who's picked it?
Oh, Blue Piper. That's one.
Right.
They're from in France, so maybe they are like collaboration of that. They sent me another game which is called I call it the Zuliwood. I think that's the one, and it has really cool penguin pieces and things, and it also like not plastic, not something weird. I don't know. Looks really cool, both abstract. Anyway, that's Glyph Chess and the player pieces for that. All right, and so finally here, it's been a long road, and we are into the top 10.
Hooray!
And yay! And it's the topic of the day is top 10 villains in games.
This was hard.
It was hard, yeah, because at some point I think, is it a stretch or does it count as a villain, or who are the villains in this game? It's a matter of perspective and things. So we'll see if we agree with each other or not.
I'm sure we won't. I had a problem just because I tried to. I mean, there was a couple of games I could easily pick 10 villains from, but I tried not to pick too many from the same game.
Yeah, I've avoided that. I mean, there's no game has got more than one.
Yeah,
whether they cast as a villain per se is probably the more flexible bit. I mean, they are essentially what you're fighting to win the game, but whether you class them as evil villain is another thing, particularly with a couple of them. But it was good because I did a top 10 list on annoying characters once, and that was easier because I can think of a lot of annoying characters, but they're not necessarily villains. They're just a character in a game.
Yeah. I did put one game has 2 entries on this list, but I just couldn't avoid it.
I think I know what's the game.
I'm curious as to whether there's a lot of crossover on this because I'd say that. I mean, there's a few games I could think, oh yeah, you could probably pick a villain out of it. I just probably haven't played it.
You'll have a crossover with Kyle. I'm sure about that. At least one game. Maybe not the same villain, but at least same game. I didn't know how to put them on the list as well, like how to rank them. Is he more the baddest person? Yeah, the most bad person. I don't know. I just put them in a way I felt it would go. But
sure, I put them in sort of, I don't know, generally how memorable they were to me.
Yeah, take it for granted. Yeah. So
yeah, it's kind of a mix of both. So I like the game, but also how much do I just really like this particular villain to the point where it's had enough of an effect on me that I either enjoy the game more if I'm facing them or it just has had an effect.
All right. We'll go in the order of Kyle, then Luke, then me, because that's how I set up the banners. I don't know why, but just how they are set up. But before that, let's go to number 2. All right.
Any more effect on my live streams?
All right.
I had to. It's a placeholder now. We're going to deal with that later. Anyway, Kyle's number 10.
All right, my number 10. This is a villain from a game that. So the thing is, the reason she is number 10 is because I remember a different villain from the game more, but this one is kind of the bigger one. The villain is Vanestra, and the game is Mice and Mystics. She's, of course, the evil sorceress who eventually finds herself turned into a spider and is the big bad in chapter 10 or 11 of Mice and Mystics.
Spoilers.
I don't know if I can find Vanestra itself, but you can see the pictures of Mice and Mystics. Yeah.
She's basically a giant spider demon.
Right, I'll just be like the octopus meme or say, nope. Going up against that.
Yeah.
I found Glorm maybe a little bit more memorable in terms of the name. For the reason I had to go and get out the game to remember her name, but I did remember the character. So.
Maybe spell the name out and just do a Google search for it. You might find it, but
I think it will be better. Yeah, Mice and Mystics, Vanestra.
We might have a hard time getting pictures of some of these.
Oh, that's the one.
Is that it?
Yep, there she is.
What, that yellowy thing?
Yeah. Well,
it's print. That's the one.
Yep, I'm not going near that.
I don't remember.
Well, I think I can beat. Well, I mean, I know this is more for family weight or something, but I think I can beat that for sheer horror factor later. But
I think it's the printout or something like that. The extra
I
thing.
don't think that's the one that comes with the game, but
it might be somebody's 3D sculpt or something.
You know.
But I mean, it's cool. It's cool.
I mean, it sounds like something I wouldn't want to face if I was a kid. So I think it suits the family game. I've not played this one. I just keep saying to people who say, "Oh, can you give me an easy dungeon crawl?" And it's like, I've heard Mice and Mystics is great. I've just never played it.
It's fun, and she's a big villain. So there you go. That's my number 10.
Vanestra. All right, let's go to look.
All right. This is probably one. The bottom two are certainly going to be a couple of those where it's like the definition might be a little bit skewed. But, in this one, you're all technically the villains because none of you is playing anybody good. You are all playing bad guys in the sense, and not just bad guys. You are playing, each of you is playing the embodiment of chaos in some respect or form. Chaos in the old world has you each just basically taking control of one of the Warhammer fantasy gods of chaos, and you're about as adversarial to humans as you can possibly get, because one of you just wants to kill everybody in the world, the other one is death and pestilence, like incarnate, another one is like manipulative, succubuses and all that, and the other one is just like, Skex's style magic crazy. But yeah, none of you are particularly, there is no hero here. Even with the expansion, you put the Skaven in there, and they are they are killer rats that want to swarm everything. There's like each of you is a villain. There's no like, well, I won the game, therefore the world is saved. No, I've won the game, therefore the world collapses into whatever. It's like there is no good end for humanity in this. I mean, they're technically you want to get really weird, they're technically the villain in this game purely just because they're the ones you have to contend with every now and again. But let's face it, you're a god of chaos. I think somebody needs to contend with you at some point.
All right. Yeah. I've never played this one, but I can see.
It's a really good area control, but don't try to find it, people. You won't get it. It's out of print. I don't think it will ever come back in the print because of the license, and don't get ripped off on eBay for it. Just come find me and I'll teach you it.
Same here. I'm always looking for someone to play this game with.
All right. So my number 10 is from a game called Ghost Stories, without a tension moment here. And there are several of those ghosts in Ghost Stories that are annoying, but I really particularly remember the ghost called Black Widow. Yeah.
Is that the one with the eyes?
That's the one with the.
There's one, that has eyes. Yeah, you be careful what you put on Google search for a Black Widow, because you will give me a heart attack. But
sorry.
But yeah, Scarlett Johansson fine, but other Black Widow fine. But yeah, I don't think she's the one with the eyes. I know there's one that looks like it's got
the eyes.
Yeah. Have eyes. It's pretty freaky. But this wasn't what I was expecting to hear. But yeah, definitely works. She was on my annoying characters list, I think.
I've played a long time ago, so I don't remember all the villains. But this one, she's annoying, but I mean, like, she's the one that locks away the tokens, the tile tokens that you use, and because it's a dice game and it's all about the lock of the dice as well. If you're locked out of the tokens that are the ones that you don't have to roll to see what are they, they're there. You can use them, the particular ones. Then it takes away that ability, and that means you're all about the dice, and the dice is the lock. So that's where it's. She's a villain. She's a villain. Yeah. She's a great villain.
She was definitely in the annoying characters list because it's very much a case of she turns up, your great tokens which you need to win are gone, and your first point of call to everybody else on the table is kill her.
Yep.
Save a Buddha statue for her at all times.
All right, so that's my number 10, and let's go. Oh, that's really taking long. Let's go to number 9.
All right. 9. So my number 9 is a character, and his name is Zrog Mogoth, and he is a character that shows up in Clank Legacy.
Oh, I was expecting Cthulhu because I thought I've not heard of that elder god, but with a name like that.
Well, so bad.
So in Clank Legacy, you're doing various things, but there's a character who shows up, and he's sort of a bureaucratic elder god who has scheduled the destruction of the world, and it's sort of a side plot for most of the game. Is sort of everything else is going on.
We're not spoiling too much with this one, are we?
No, just everything else is going on, and he shows up, and he's kind of there and interferes in the story. But he's a bureaucratic elder god.
Okay.
So, I've not played it myself. I don't think I'll ever get to play Clank Legacy because I didn't get bowled over by Clank as much. But I mean, does this guy do anything? I suppose without giving away spoilers, does he do anything, or is it just like the way he acts?
He does play a role in the game. The reason he's on my list is sort of because of how he acts and sort of the way that he interacts with the game. He is a figure in the game that's important. And I don't want to ruin the story for everybody, but he's my pick from the Clank franchise.
He sounds like somebody that would feature in something like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like a bureaucratic elder god. But yeah, I can see that the people who haven't played this game are going to think, "Ooh, teasers," and then the people who have played this game are going to be nodding their heads, going, "Yeah, agreement." We like this guy.
I have still 3 games to go in Clank Legacy, so don't remember. I mean, I played a while ago.
You must have come across him by now, then.
Maybe
you absolutely do.
I don't remember exactly.
In the 3rd or 4th game is sort of where he shows up the first time.
Okay, maybe. I just don't remember exactly. I like to just explore things and do the deck building. Then the story is not strong in Clank Legacy. It's there. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, look, you're number 9
on that, and the definition weird ones are probably more my bottom 2, but this one does work. Except the villain isn't a character in the game; it's one of the players. It's basically whoever the traitor is in Shadows of a Camelot. I thought of a lot of other traitor games like Obscura, and I thought, well, I can't just say generic traitor in all these games. Well, which one's the key one? And it's like, in those ones, you're just kind of being a bit annoying to the other players and that. Whereas this one, you are directly scheming and plotting and trying to hide in the shadow. I mean, you are your quintessential villain with this one. They're all trying to solve the quests, get the Holy Grail, beat back the Saxons, beat back the Dark Knight and everything. And all the while, you're just, you can't just come out with it and say, I'm the bad guy. I'm just going to throw this big boulder on your thing here. No, it's like, I am very subtly screwing with you guys, whether it's because I'm selecting bad cards or chucking away good ones, but you don't know it yet. And then you're putting doubt on everybody else, trying to get them to accuse each other until hopefully they figure it out. But sometimes you get to the very end of the game, the good guys lose, and you can just break out your evil muhaha laugh and run away into the darkness. But out of all the, some people would probably put the Battlestar Galactica Cylons on there. I haven't played it enough, and I suppose that does work. But this one's more like your cheesy villain. You can just see this being like a very campy Monty Python and Holy Grail stuff, because everybody references the film during it. Yeah, exactly. Curly moustache type villain. Everybody references the Holy Grail Monty Python when you play this game, and you could just imagine it's just some cheesy character from there doing the plotting. But everybody hates the villain in this because it is screwing you over.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I remember the one of the board game camps in Estonia. There are usually those board game camps when we play games for like 2-3 days straight. And we played Shadows of Camelot. It was many years ago. And I got the trader. We played for the first time. Everybody played for the first time. I got the trader card. And I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do? I don't like playing traders, and I don't know how to play them. It was one of my first experiences as a trader. So, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just smart enough to be a trader. I don't know.
Naturally devious and deceptive. So I'll just go with that.
Yeah. But
Can we ask the wife? What's her opinion?
I was all good, and then I was a good guy for the most of the game, and then I tanked the game, and they could do nothing, and the frustration on their faces, the hate towards me. Like,
I love being a traitor in games. I've so rarely the traitor in Shadows, and I can't force myself to be the traitor when I'm teaching other players, because it will just basically screw them over. But it's like I'm always praying for the traitor card, and it never turns up. It's like I want to be the bad guy because I like being that deceptive one. But that's how you're supposed to play it, though. You're meant to be kind of like the good guy for a while, and then you got to wait for your moment to start edging out or throw a bomb at some stage. So
two people walked away from the table silently, and for the rest of the day, I was a villain for them. I met a game. I mean, that was I just crushed them. They didn't want to play another game with me anymore.
It's only a game. I'd have been like, how dare you? But I would have given you respect for actually pulling it off. It's only a game, people.
Right.
Oh, I just started spamming catapults at the end, and then they were done. Yeah. All right, so my number 9 is it's a crossover in a sense. It's the same game. We're talking about Mice and Mystics, but in my case, I'm gonna talk about Brody, and Brody is a cat.
Yes, he is.
He's a minion, and Brody is. Oh, you can see the different ones. There's no really a miniature for Brody in the base game, but I think you can buy it separately. But the thing is, that's the Brody.
Because isn't Brody just sort of like not necessarily even a villain, a boss? It's like it's so big that if you get caught, you're dead. It's like a thing on the board as opposed to a miniature. I'm not sure.
Yes. It has 2 initiative cards, so he has like 2 turns in a round, and he has 2 tokens, but to keep bouncing or chasing you, and he can go far. He can run, and you're so afraid of that Brody when it comes to the scenery, because you cannot run away from that cat. But you try to defeat it or try to get away from it. So it just feels, because you're mice, and if you're really into the game, you feel the theme, you really feel small in front of that cat.
There's so much about this game that makes me want to play it. I mean, this is so high on my list. I can't see myself playing it with gamers at the thing, though. And because I more recommend it for families, I don't often play with kids. So it's like, I'm not looking to play this with like nephews or anything like that. But part of me just wants to get a few gamers together for some lighthearted dungeon crawling and try this out, because the theme just, it will just bring back all the memories of things like Secret of Nim and the Don Bluth style animated films, because that's what this game looks and feels like.
Right.
Yeah, that's how Brody does to us usually.
Yeah, because everybody would have pictures of the big size Brody.
All right, so that's my pick for a number 9. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go now to number 8. All right.
Number 8. So my number 8 is on the list mostly because he's memorable. Because I remember the very first time I played this game, this was the villain, the big bad that we had to fight. And when it was revealed, it just sort of solidified how silly and ridiculous the game is. The character is from the game Dungeon Fighter, and it is called the Pussy Demon. And
what?
it is a demon surrounded by small cats.
I don't want to Google that.
Yeah, you might not want to Google this one. The artwork is is delightful.
It is.
The character itself, it just came up at just the right moment where everybody was just so into the theme, and we opened that last door, and there was this character called the Pussy Demon.
Get away with that.
There are some other villains.
And it's that same sort of silly style of our artwork. It's not. I mean, it's not an adult themed villain. Just it has that name. I don't know.
Okay.
It was so memorable for me when this was our big bad that I just had to put it on my list because it is such a. But really, any of the various bosses in that game could probably fit because they're all memorable and affect the game in their own special way, and they just make the game a rollicking good time.
Right. I'm looking at a picture of it now. The name doesn't quite suit it. I mean, it is basically your atypical devilish gargoyle with wings, red type thing. It's got a bunch of cats, but it has a bunch of cats by its feet.
There you go.
So the demon looks like something that will kill you, but the cats look adorable. So this is like the strangest combination I've seen.
There's the crazy cat lady as a.
I had to Google it, and somebody had it on Flickr, but it's it's like I can imagine if you were into it, maybe you had a few drinks and then saw that.
Wait, now I have to Google that. Okay. Oh my God, what's that? Oh my God. No, let's just go away from that. All right, look, what's your number 8? And please, try to.
This is normal, and it is actually the main villain of the game, I'll say. Although this is the one I thought you were going to come up with when you said the Ghost Stories one, because I get that Black Widow is more annoying, but all the ghosts are technically the bad guys. The Black Widow just happens to be one that's a pain. So if I'm picking the actual villain, it's Wu Feng from the actual end of Ghost Story.
Yeah. Okay.
Multiple incarnations, the big bad that you hopefully can even reach in the first place, because that's already hard enough in this game. But it's because of the way the game looks art-wise and its theme and that, it's got that similarity to whoever the bad guy is in Big Trouble in Little China and that sort of feel. And this guy, is already a pain to kill half the time when you get to the end, but I like the fact that you get multiple incarnations of him. So I wonder if that's the picture of it. So each and every game, you'll get a boss character that's fundamentally different. Again, the artwork makes it look really cool. You can tell this is the big one, but I think for a lot of it, it's just the Big Trouble in Little China references just keep flowing the second he appears.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a freaky character as well, so.
Yeah.
Well, there are a few joke ones, like, is that the Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris one or something?
Jean-Claude Van Rice, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few pun ones.
Oh, oh my God.
Chuck Norris, yeah.
Chuck Norris.
If you like puns, there are a few like that, but I mean, they still function. They just got some weird complex abilities, which I'm not as big a fan of. But I mean, you've got some that, you can't use dice, some that require you to have multiple characters and that. So they do play it up. And then if you want to play on the aforementioned hell difficulty, then good luck with that, because you've got to fight multiple of them. But I can't imagine anybody is stupid enough to play this game on hell difficulty.
No, never. Oh my God, no. It was really hard on the easy one. So, right, yeah, that's I can see that. I was more, maybe it's annoying, but I was more annoyed by this, by the minion.
Yeah, it was the definition of villain in the sense that I go, Black Widow is infinitely more annoying, but this is like sort of like the main villain or that bad guy who turns up. And I suppose once you've dealt with multiple Black Widows and a couple of the other demons and that, the first thing you want to do is kill this guy as quick as possible, because you just want to revenge for having dealt with Black Widows.
Yeah. True. All right. So, whoops. My number 8 is one of the monsters in a really cool game called Survive. Escape from Atlantis. Does it come up here? It is. The 2010 version. And this one.
Yeah, I suppose I can't talk.
Oh, okay.
I suppose I can't talk with some of my choices. So yeah.
What?
So who's
Sorry?
the sea monster?
A sea monster, yes.
Okay.
That's the one. I feel this one is villain in the sense that everybody's you roll the die, of course, but everybody can manipulate that sea monster, and that makes it more scary in a sense because you have that sea monster in every corner of the escape route, and it can kill you instantly, the boat and all the survivors. And that's really harsh. It's really harsh when you have never put all 3 meeples of your own color on the boat. Never. If you do that, you see the scene here. This is the death scene. This
It's just
is the
obeying animal instincts. It's not villainous.
yeah, but I mean that's the villain in this game. That's because the shark, it can kill you if you're in the water, but if you're on a boat, you're fine. The whale can just destroy the boat. You're fine. This one, instant death.
You're
So
fine. The fact you're drowning and the shark's nearby, but yes. The sea. Have you played the mini expansions to this?
The squid?
Yeah, because have I still got this game? I think
I've
I've still got the 30th anniversary version of it here, and it's got the mini expansion in it. But yeah, if you want the proper villain or this, that's Squid.
That squid is terrible.
Yeah,
they are. I played it a long time ago.
There it is.
I don't remember exactly.
Because the sea monster is kills the boats and kills the drivers. Because obviously, as soon as you get on the boat, you think, right, I'm in danger now. This is problematic. When you're on the island, for the most part, you feel like you're pretty safe unless somebody takes the tile away and you sink. But then you can kind of guess that in there. But if you're, say, on top of the mountain and there's still beach tiles left, it's like, I'm cool here for a bit, no problem. And then the squid pops up and just literally goes, yoink. Picks you off the island piece. It's like you are no longer safe anywhere on the board for the most part when the squid can just pop up.
True. Right, yeah. Okay, so that was my number 8. And let's go to number 7 now. All right. Let's go to number 7.
All right. My number 7 is a villain in several games. It's the big bad in so many games that he's just sort of become a joke. But that is, of course, Cthulhu. And he's everywhere. I don't even have a game in particular. I mean, I have that big Death May Die game with the giant Cthulhu downstairs, so let's pick that one just because he's really big in there. But
I'm surprised that wasn't your funky components.
that one hasn't come up yet. But he's a big bad, and he's a stand-in for pretty much any generic elder god as well. Oh, there's the big one. Yes. But he makes people crazy. He comes up from the sea. And he's scary looking. He's
a sea monster.
What?
A sea monster.
I almost feel the whole he makes people crazy a little bit redundant because you're a giant creature with tentacles like hands that could crush you underfoot. I feel like making me insane is probably the least of my concerns if you show up.
Well, my favorite incarnation of Cthulhu was in the old Ghostbusters cartoon because there was an episode called The Collect Call of Cthulhu.
I missed that one.
Well, you should look it up. He's red, though.
I'll have to look it up because that's cool.
Yeah, the episode was The Collect Call of Cthulhu. That was my
Soviet Union one? Soviet Union Cthulhu? Red one? What?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know what color he really is.
Not played up for as many laughs as, say, the South Park Cthulhu.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. No.
Anyway. That's, we don't have a whole lot to say about him because he's in so many things that he's very non-specific at this point. But he's a villain in so many games.
Yeah, that's where I wouldn't choose that one because he's a fictional character of many things, implementations in board games, video games, in cinema, in whatever literature, and so it was really hard for me to choose him.
I avoided IP-based villains for all the rest of my list, but I had to put this one on.
That's pretty impressive. You were able to avoid IP ones, I must admit. But no, I mean, Cthulhu's perfectly good. I've got some, Arkham Horror related stuff on my list, but I didn't choose Cthulhu just because, like I say, he's like the common one. Like you sort of like you've done him to death now, and I think in the Arkham Horror lore, there's some more freaky stuff. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Luke's number 7.
All right, we've got an actual proper villain on this one. So I suppose this is technically an IP villain, but I don't go for a lot of the hidden movement games. But the one that I did like, even though I did get rid of it because I just think it's a bit too long, was Fury of Dracula. And Dracula in itself is already a pretty prime villain, even outside of board gaming. But in Fury of Dracula, yeah, because in most of them, like Whitechapel and a few of the others, it's kind of like once you find the person, that's kind of it. Like you win, you found me. Dracula, not the same thing, because even if you do find them, you've still got to take the guy out, which is easier said than done. And a lot of the time, he then especially when it's nighttime, Dracula becomes the hunter rather than the hunted. So you're trying to find him, but then if it's nighttime, you don't want to find him, and you're kind of worried that sooner or later he's just going to appear from behind you and sort of try and take you out. It's like, yeah, I found him. Help me. But he's sending his thralls after you, laying little traps. This is a far more integrated villain than the other hidden movement games of like, oh, you found me, tag, you're it. So I think, so thematically the game is sound. The person playing Dracula can do all sorts of cool stuff. It was just a bit long and complicated for what I wanted. Like, I mean, if it was half the length, I probably would play this religiously. But when you got a game that can take 3 hours with this, it can be a bit on the long side. But if I get to play Dracula in this, then loving it. But even if I play against him, I'm kind of like, okay, where are you? You're somewhere here. I know you're seeing me, really. It's like, do not find me. Do not find me. Haha.
All right, yeah. I play once, so I play the... I don't usually like to play bad guys in board games, so I play the good guys, so...
That's why us two need to get in more games, because it's kind of like, fine, you play the good guy. It's like,
I will always pick the bad guy if I can.
Wait, what? The pussy demon? What was it? What was it?
Well, pussy demon is somebody you fight. I mean, perhaps if you could play that, he'd play it. But
absolutely no. I love being the bad guy in games. That's my natural state.
Right. Carry on with the next one. I need to take a 1 minute or something, but carry on. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So number 7 for me is from the game called Harry Potter: The Hogwarts Battle, and that's the Lord Voldemort. One of the cards. Here he's the villain, and it has really annoying ability. Is that, as you can see here, you have to add curse tokens to location. If you have too many, you basically lose the game. So it's basically like a timer. He also lets you lose health all the time, and you cannot start hitting him unless you have defeated everyone else. And because he has such a bad ability, you have to deal with everyone else really fast. And he's extremely annoying, and he is extremely hard to play against. And 20 health, I mean, 20 hits to do in this game, it's harsh. You have to do a lot. So that's my pick for number 7. Lord Voldemort. Kyle, want to say about that one?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the game. I did not find that game to be all that engaging, but you certainly did, and he's certainly a villain.
Yeah. Harry Potter is the one that you would like the game more if you're a fan of Harry Potter as a franchise. So I think then you would like the game even more. But that's what it is. So let's go to number 6. All right, Kyle, what's your number 6?
All right, my number 6. I did say I didn't put too many IP-based ones on here, and then I looked at my list and, of course, saw another one, and that is a game we kind of already talked about briefly, but it is the monster. It is the Frankenstein monster, which is sort of the driving force in Abomination.
Abomination, okay.
Yeah, in Abomination. So you've got this, you're trying to build the bride for the monster, but he's in the background, and he shows up every now and then and, tears off your arm and beats you with it, or murders a bunch of people as you watch, or does various very villainous things. And, you're trying to appease him, but if he's not happy with your progress, he does something really terrible, and it can significantly affect the game. He's not in the game itself, you're not fighting him or anything, but he is definitely driving the action forward.
Yeah, I can see that. But this is more like a story threat rather than an actual threat in the game. Yeah. In my opinion,
I mean, some of the Arkham Horror stuff falls under that category, and they're still technically.
Oh, you're preparing yourself, yeah, for some.
No, this isn't really going on by this. But I mean, take Azafoth for example.
You never fight him.
You never fight him because it's basically just the big devourer of the universe. But it's the threat, so it's still technically the bad guy. Villainous, I'm not sure beating me to death with my own arm is particularly villainous. I think it's just more monstrous. So as it works.
All right. So what's your number 6, Luke?
Number 6. Well, we're actually on to an Arkham Horror one now, although this is Eldritch Horror specifically, game-wise. This is my favorite favorite bad guy to face in it. And I think it's from the last expansion that came out for it, which was Cities in Ruin. Maybe there was one after that. I don't know. But I don't know if I'm pronouncing this guy's name right. It's Shudmel or Shudamel or something like that.
Shudmel, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it came from the Cities in Ruin. It's on the cover of Cities in Ruin, so it is that thing. But
I see.
It's the name given to that, the Elder God, which is basically that. So instantly, if you've watched Tremors, that's the first thing people those things. But with Eldritch Horror, a lot of the bad guys will do different story effects, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you got a sideboard here, you could go to that person or whatever. But it's still a similar feeling game. This one brought in the mechanic where you start off facing against that guy, and instantly Rome is destroyed. Like the entire city is gone, it's no longer in the game. And it basically brought in the devastation mechanic where throughout the game, other cities could get toppled, like completely demolished, which is already changing the map state compared to usual. But it can have some major effects on the game if, say, like your character happens to be in a city when it happens, or you normally want to go to a city to get some cards or skill or something, and suddenly it's no longer there. But it just kind of added to the epic scale of Eldritch Horror, because we mentioned Azafoth, and it's kind of like, yeah, he's going to devour the universe, but you never see him. So as far as everybody else is concerned, nothing's really happening. It's like, oh, whatever, there's a few weird things, but you know what's going on. This, though, it's like, you can't deny it when this giant worm comes and destroys the city. So this is your big adventure, like, okay, yeah, there is a serious threat. It's called the city's no longer there. It just made for something like, I thought, like, theme-wise, it was just a really refreshing boss to go against.
Yeah.
And it's a small box expansion, which means you don't have to get the sideboards or have a giant box. You can just grab the small box one, adds a bunch of cards and a couple of gods, including him, and it's an easy one to include. Like, you could almost buy this as your first one and make it that.
Okay. Yeah. I played the base game, and I'm not a big fan. I think I've even put it on the overrated list once. So,
no. I do like it. I mean, I've bloated it to heart's content, so it's hard to get it out of the crate. All the content I've got, and I've bought too much for it. But I mean, I played it the other week, actually, because a girl at my Portsmouth club I run said she had the base game, but never got to play it. So I basically invited her and a couple of the others from there around the cafe at one other time to say, right, this evening I'm going to teach you how to play Eldritch Horror. Just did a 4-player against Azafoth or something. Fairly easy mode. I didn't want to make it too hard or something, but no, we had a good time with it.
I played this the last time about a year ago in Minneapolis at the Fantasy Flight headquarters. They had their Arkham Knights, and it was something like a 14-player game of Eldritch Horror. It was a fantastic and very long experience.
I don't know if I'd go for a 14-player version. I mean, I've refused to play this above 4 players. But
well, normally I do, but it was sort of a special event that they were running there, and they had a gigantic map that was like blown up and in a frame, and it was a great way to sort of get back into the game and then want to play it as a smaller player.
As a one-off event, yeah, I'd certainly look at it.
All right. So my number 6 is very similar to Luke's pick for like Shadows over Camelot, but I didn't pick Shadows over Camelot. I picked another game which is called Dead of Winter, and it's basically the same, being a traitor in Dead of Winter.
Oh, right. I was going to say, who's the villain in that? Is that, right, the traitor.
Yeah, I mean, like, everybody's a traitor here in some way, because you have objectives that you have to fulfill in order to win.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but being a traitor on top of that makes it really harsh. I mean, if the traitor can really tank the game, it can be a frustrating experience at some point. But I mean, here you can totally be a villain. You can feel like you're a great villain trying to plot against everybody in a group in this kind of a harsh world. So I like the Winter itself, and I don't like being a traitor here. So that means traitor is a good villain here. So
okay.
The way I want to play this game is as the traitor, because as the rest, it's definitely more fun as a traitor. This probably would have though been on my overrated list several years ago. Nobody really talks about this one anymore, so it's kind of died down. But I tried this one, and I just couldn't get into it as much. I especially hated that dice. The frostbite die.
I see that. Yeah.
Threw you over by dumb luck. It's like, well, I've got to go outside. I can't not. But the frostbite die can just basically say, well, your character got frostbitten and died. It's like, well, great, thanks. The crossroads cards never seem to trigger half the time. Some of them were kind of like triggers every game. And another one you'd get, and it's like, this triggers if Maria is sitting to your left, it's Tuesday in the high noon, and you hear a turkey in the distance. It's like, seriously, how many conditions do I have to meet for this thing to work?
Yeah, that's where I think they should re-implement that, or make a revised edition where you always have a crossroad card, like an event.
They never put an app in this game. This is crying out for a Crossroads app.
They did, actually.
Oh, wasn't that in a different game?
No, an app came out for this eventually. It was not super highly publicized, but there was one sort of right at the tail end when the game was kind of being bloated to the core. They put out way too many expansions for this, and one of those was a small app that
I thought there was only one main expansion. They might have just added little bits to it.
There were at least two.
Yeah,
there was
people were sort of,
one.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of riled me at first was that people were sort of going, "Oh, this is a really thematic game," and the first thing I say to that is, "You have a dog that can wield guns." it's like your theme is somewhat out of the window when you allow Sparky the Wonder Dog to come in guns blazing. It's like, okay, what?
South Park. All right.
Traitor is good fun in it though. Although you mentioned the objectives, is like everybody is technically the villain because I don't win unless I harvest all the toothbrushes. It's like, wait, what?
I like my teeth white.
Like,
all right. So let's go to number 5. All right. Your number 5, Kyle?
All right. My number 5, it's this one, I don't know. I had to cast it as a villain just because in the game it is. And it is, so the game is Spirit Island, and the villain is one particular invader, and in this case, for me, it is the Kingdom of England. I have never beaten them on hard. I mean, I play this game all the time, but these ones just build and build and build, and they have this high immigration thing, and they build again. And if they get 7 buildings in a territory, they just win. They come in and they're destroying this island, and you're doing your best to encourage them to leave. And
it's like, would you avoid awfully if you just left?
Any of the various invaders could be the villain of choice for this game, but for me, it is the English, because I just find them. If you play them on easy difficulty, then they're not that bad. But I try and, I'm trying to beat them all on hard, and this is the one I just cannot do.
Kyle, be careful, because we might never see Luke again on our podcast.
Oh,
I was English.
I was gonna say what? Yeah.
Speak French. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
This game I need to play more. I've only played it the once, and it wasn't the best teacher either. But I did enjoy it. It just went on forever. I mean, the length was a problem, and every time I sort of go, shall I buy it? Shall I not? Because I think I'm only going to ever play this solo, not in multiplayer.
Right.
And half the time I go, I should buy it because it sounds like a cool solo game, and I remember enjoying it before. And then the other half of me goes, yeah, but it looks like that. so I'm very, a bit shallow when it comes to the aesthetics on a lot of games, I admit.
Well, and the boards do have that other side that looks more thematic, but it's a little harder to read. But I don't know. As a solo game, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I need to try the app, the Steam version.
And that's a good implementation as well.
Yeah, maybe that will be my entry point or something. But yeah, I need to revisit this game.
I play with Kyle. I can see the appeal. I told Kyle that, I can see why you like this game, but it's just too big. It's convoluted. It's another Robinson Crusoe that will kind of suffers from too much stuff, in my opinion. So I think it's overrated at some point. Yeah.
Well, it's just because I talk about it all the time.
No. It get a lot of buzz every time I do anything about solo gaming on my videos, and that people will always ask, what about Spirit Island? It's like, I give it props. I just haven't really delved into it much. It's only so many times you can do.
Look, you're number 5?
5. Oh, yes. Her.
Her.
Is she a villain? Technically, no, but she is. Even in real life, people know these sort of people as the villain. And in this game, when you play her on mean mode, she is definitely the villain of this worker placement game, which, can you see it being, where's my shield section there? Yeah, probably not. Kanban. This is Sandra. She's on the main characters list as well, but in mean mode, she is basically a villain. She's your boss. You're running this car factory. You're trying to, be efficient, deal with what you're doing. And we've all been in jobs, whether current or before, where you hate your boss, where your boss is just evil for evil's sake. This one, Sandra if you play her on nice mode, it's, whatever, nice mode, it's just a point getter. If you play her on meme, but if you play her on meme mode, she's a character. She's a partial timer for the game, but your worker goes to a different department to do things, assembly, test cars, make the parts, all that stuff. Now, while you're doing this, you're also studying to get bonuses and certifications, more points. But what she does is that she hops from department to department each time, depending on whether it's blocked up or not. But if in mean mode, if she ever ends up in a department where you're in, or where anybody else is in, she looks at the certification, sees who's the person who's lowest, not pulling their weight, and then if you don't meet a criteria for that department, you haven't got so many designs, so many parts or whatever, she penalizes you points. And I mean, it's annoying anyway, but we've all had that annoying boss that you love your job, but my God, does that boss annoy you? And this is her in the game. It's I'm just trying to do my job. It's all well and good. I can't go at your pace, but just because something bad happened at home or your favorite TV character got killed or something, you just come into this job and you're making my life a misery. And I think as a boss, she enjoys it. So this is played over multiple days. So it's not like, she had a bad day. No, she's just perpetually mean the entire game.
Okay, yeah.
So definition of villain is a little ropey in that, but she's such a fundamental part of the game, and everybody has been in that position, so that you always get a lot of anecdotes about, demon bosses that people have had.
Yeah, I've never played this game, so I can't really comment on how mean she is. So
Yeah,
that's
not
that.
the most streamlined Euro in the world, but I'm looking forward to their reprint this year, which hopefully might sort that out. But it's your atypical Lacerda game, so big, meaty, thematic, does the job.
Yeah.
And difficult.
But we don't like it when she's on the scene.
All right. So my number 5 is let's say one side of a game, and I'm talking about Catacombs. Of course, the third edition. It's the third, yeah, not the second, not the fourth. It's third, and I'm talking about the Overseer. So you have the hero side, you have the Overseer side, and in this one, I think it might be a little bit more unbalanced as well, because the Overseer is extremely powerful. You can spam all the different monsters, and then you can flick a lot. And the best way to play this game is to play a 2-player, because then you can flick at least 4 times. I mean,
I suppose that is only as powerful as the Overseer is good at flicking. I mean, I'd probably suck.
No. The thing is that when I played this 2-player game, we both were so bad at flicking, but still, it's just having more pieces to flick, having like sometimes smaller pieces to flick, and having more abilities at once. It just helps. And you as heroes don't have that, and you can buy more stuff as you go through the dungeon, basically. But at first, you feel small, you feel weak. So the villain of this game is the Overseer.
Okay.
This is the one I thought you were on about earlier when you mentioned Dungeon Fire. I was expecting Catacombs to show up as well.
Oh.
Well, this does not have that particular character in it, unfortunately. Although it
Gelatinous Cube, yeah, that's the one that's cool about this one. All right, let's go to number 4.
All right. My number 4 is clearly a villain and a driving force in the game, somebody you fight. This game has lots of villains in it, but I picked this one just because he's kind of the one that's responsible for all the other villains doing bad things. The game is Too Many Bones, and the character is Nobulus Grint.
Okay.
Fought this one yet?
You haven't?
I've got the game, but I've only played so many of the villains in it.
Yeah.
I need to review this at some point, but yeah.
So Nobulus is a big, very hard. He's one of the longer villains. So I actually prefer the longer villains because you have more time to build up your character and make it interesting. So I've actually fought him a lot, and he comes with an abomination character, which is his monster that also tag teams with him. If you get just the right combination of those encounter cards, you can turn into an abomination yourself, which makes the game very different. But I don't know. Nobulus, he's the one who's kind of been programming all of these. He's been creating robots. He's been analyzing. And the third expansion, the Splice and Dice, he's right there and creating a bad guy for you to fight along with you as you're playing the game. So Nobulus, he's a villainous character. My number 4.
Yeah, you could see the different villains. Yeah. One of them somewhere is that one.
Is he only from Splice and Dice then?
He's what?
Is he only from Splice and Dice then? Because I don't.
No, he's mentioned all throughout the first one, and he is a character in the second one in Undertow.
All right, I haven't got Undertow. I've got base set and a couple of the extra characters, but not.
Okay. Well, then you'll just see him, talked about in some of the story cards in the first one.
What story cards? Yeah, that's one. It's one of my. I've enjoyed the game, but one of my negatives is that the story really just doesn't seem to be there. It's like the encounter cards are very disjointed, and I never felt there was a massive overarching plot.
Yeah, you kind of have to dig for the overarching plot.
Yeah, but then, I've got more pros than cons for the game, but I do like just being able to build up your character. So yeah, I mean, I like the longer villains as well because you don't really get to unlock much otherwise.
That's right.
All right. Luke's here, number 4.
Or where's me Google Drive and find it. Ah, yes. This is going to be the most recent one on the list, actually, because this one's only just been released for Marvel Champions. So we're on to Marvel, we're on to LCGs, and I know so little about this villain in terms of Marvel lore. The fact that it's possibly the big bad for the next MCU phase actually kind of excites me, because it's like, I don't know much about this character, but it's a big bad. I'll go for it. But he's known as the once and future Kang. That's the expansion. And as far as I'm aware, don't quote me because I don't know enough about this lore, but he's basically sort of general or, dictator leader from the future. He's got all this tech. He's a strategic, powerhouse, but he's got mastery over temporal tech. So he shows up in all sorts of different timelines, starts messing things over. And they've just released the scenario for this guy who I've now played. And you'll probably have an easier time just looking up Kang on Board Game Geek if you're trying to find him specifically, because he's an expansion to it. But the scenario with Kang it's a difficult one.
Very difficult.
It's easily the most fun I've had playing this one. It's a bit of an extended one, but he appears. It's kind of like 3 phases. He appears, and first phase is like just generic. He shows up, beat on him. Then suddenly he splits up the entire party into different game areas where you have your own individual Kang to fight from a different timeline. So you've either got the dictator from the future, the centurion from ages ago, the Egyptian, lord and master type thing in one. And each of you has to deal with your own villain, and the other players can't help you. But as each player takes out their respective villain, they get to move to someone else's game area. Yeah, here you go. There's the other one. And I think I had the 2 on the right in my first playthrough. I had one. Hawkeye had to deal with the Egyptian one, and Captain America had to deal with the other one, the Centurion. But even say in a 4-player game, if one person takes out their villain, they get to join someone else's game area. So it's almost like, spoiler alert, end game. But with somebody just leaps out of a portal in your timeline and lends you a hand, it's creates those little epic moments. And then even once you've done that, you've then got to beat him in the 3rd phase of the game, where it's like, all right, screw you guys, I'm just going to go conquer you now. And depending how well you did in the 2nd round, makes the 3rd round harder or easier. It makes for a very epic game of Marvel Champions, and certainly more epic than the ones, because there've been some good villains before, but even the Red Skull campaign didn't feel as epic as this one. This one felt like, this is kind of like Thanos levels of, I could see the MCU having him as a big bad being really, really good. But before this expansion came out, I knew pretty much nothing about it. So this actually got me to look up sort of like Marvel Wiki and just go, who is this guy? And but he's just been the most fun out of Marvel Champions so far.
Okay. I haven't played Marvel Champions, so can I comment on that as well? Yeah.
I have played, I think I played this scenario 4 or 5 times last weekend. I really enjoyed this particular scenario.
Crossover.
We'll see. Anyway, my number 4 is the whole faction as a villain. And let's say spoilers, but not really, because it says it in the name. I'm talking about Scythe, and I'm talking about the Rise of Fenris expansion, and that's the Fenris faction.
All right. Okay.
I don't like them. I don't like the mechs. They jump. They have lasers. They are weird. They are. They destroy. This is the faction that just goes all out attack and putting out those different tokens and like almost like traps and things. And I just don't like Fenris faction as it is. But in the expansion, you basically fight them as villains, kinda, and then they are the separate faction basically that you can control as well. So I feel like they are the villains in this world. So everybody is a villain in some sort.
No, they are pretty much more the bad guys in this. I mean, certainly hope everybody has skipped this number if they haven't played it, but by now you should have, I would have hoped. But yeah, they say they are a weird faction. When they first appear, it's like, the hell is that thing? They've got the funky miniatures for their mechs. Now there's As much as the story wasn't particularly interesting with this one, it was just fun to play Scythe that many times in a row in general.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, it's
to unlock all the new stuff, which I rarely get to use because there's always the new players, so I can't bring this stuff out with them. But there's so many modules in that set that I want to play Scythe with these modules.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not Legacy where if I show you like finished faction, then you would do another choice, and the choice you do is permanent choice. You get everything in the box anyway. You never destroy
anything. You can
anything.
even ignore the campaign and just cannibalize the box. It gives you rules on how to do that. So if the story is not an interest to you, you just want the modules. It tells you how to integrate them anyway.
Yeah.
But I like the campaign because you can go into the rules as you go as different modules, and it's just kind of a cool to implement them and play the side campaign.
Yeah, no, I love this one. I like the blue faction. I forget their name, but the techie faction.
Vesna.
Yeah,
I love Vesna. Vesna is my favorite faction from.
And I like the Fenris faction. That's one of my favorites. So
I really want to play those now.
You're next. All right, so that's it for number 4. Let's go to number 3.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, it's Kyle. Yeah.
Yes, it is. All right.
Hello there.
Number 3 is just a bad guy. He's a playable character and a really fun one to play, at least for me. One of my favorite characters to build with in this game. The character is Rhett Tallis, and the game is Summoner Wars. I love Summoner Wars and talk about it all the time, but Rhett Tallis is he's the undead lord, and he's the one in the story of the game, which admittedly doesn't come through that well. He's the one who found the first summoning stone and started the whole process by himself. He is in his own expansion, the Fallen Kingdom expansion, if you were looking for it.
Oh, Fallen Kingdom.
He is basically this zombie-like character, and his ability is to raise the dead. And he is your necromancer. He's making sacrifices. He can hurt himself to get huge discounts on other champions. I've always had a soft spot for him, and he's one of the harder ones to do correctly. But
did he hurt your feelings?
I was going to say a soft spot for a necromancer. Okay, fine.
Well, Anyway, I really enjoy him. There's a couple of sort of true villainous characters, but this Fallen Kingdom faction, and particularly Rhett Tallis, is the biggest of the big bads, in my opinion.
All right. I thought you would try to squeeze Summoner Wars into that list, of course.
Yeah, it can technically be a bag. I mean, I don't know. I played it a few times. I think I had the master set because I bought it for like 20 quid on a Bring and Buy or something really cheap. Played it for a bit, enjoyed it fine, sucked at it right royally. Like I really struggled to win on it. And yeah, I gave it props for what it was, but I just couldn't get it to the table enough because, I mean, it's a 2-player game. So 2-player. I keep a few games that are 2-player only, but they're either small, cool ones, like short ones, or they're like Star Wars Rebellion, like the occasional epic 2-player I'll still hang on to because I love it that much. Summoner Wars was just one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I like the game, I'll just never get it played.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the favorite game, Kyle.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
He might have played it.
Yeah,
all the time.
He might have played it thousands of times.
Thousands. Which is cool. I give it props. I reckon if I had more chances to play it, it probably would have been something I would have kept.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how I've played Summoner Wars, and I feel like I cannot really differentiate who is the villain, who's not. So that's where I'm not sure about that one.
Well, this guy doesn't look like a nice guy.
Well, to be fair, I don't think many of them do, but I don't know the story and the lore behind it. I mean, it got too bloated for its own good as well. Because, I mean, it was all right when it's like, oh, yeah, there's the elf faction, here's the dead faction, here's the dwarf faction or something. And then they did that alliances one or something where it just got confusing.
All right. What's your number 3, Luke?
3. This, if it's not the villain, it's certainly the big monster that is trying to kill everybody else, player controlled. But this is the one versus many. I was about to say hidden movement. It's not quite. It's more you're trying to go to. I suppose it is hidden movement on the player's guide, but whatever. It's not alone, and this is the alien character in it. It's a one versus many game, and you're the good guys are playing like the astronauts on this planet, and they've got to last long enough against the alien for the release ship to arrive. In doing so, they are secretly mapping down via cards what locations they're going to, and each one triggers a special effect. If you pull it off, there's more locations you can grab, and you're constantly managing a diminishing hand size. What the alien player is doing is basically trying to figure out where they're going, go to those locations, gobble them up, or send them insane, whatever the alien's doing. You're not entirely certain what it's doing in terms of badness, but it's it's the enemy. And if the alien gobbles you up enough times or like drives you nuts or something, then the alien player wins. And it's definitely skewed in the alien player's fashion. Like, it is harder to win as the good guys. But there's that constant like fear factor of dodging the alien, because you'll put your cards down simultaneously in secret. And then you're looking at the alien player as they sort of ponder. It's like, because you've got diminishing hand sizes and you see what you've played already. So it's one of those cases where I know you've gone there already. So that's all you've got left. Why would you go there? I reckon you've gone there. And you're constantly sort of just there, sort of like, no, not going there. And you're hoping that the alien doesn't stick their counter or put some negative effect on the location. And it's just like, oh, he's there. It's not so bad. And it feels good when you can elude him, but the alien can throw sorts of nasty effects around. It gets tougher as the game progresses. And it's one of those easier one versus many games to teach. It's not particularly complex, but it certainly does give you that, oh, Christ, alien, don't come my way. And especially when the alien player targets you, because it's easy. Obviously, they're trying to gobble up the players. And if you've only got like 2 cards in your hand and you haven't refilled your hand or something, then the alien player sets their sight on you.
Yeah. I haven't played that one either, so it seems like I haven't played any games. So
anymore. This one, I think the US must have it. This had an expansion. I think there's another expansion coming out, and I think it's had one expansion. I think I've got it in the box in the other room. I just haven't used it much. Like more locations and more alien powers.
Right.
Nothing particularly complex, but if you get a chance to try it, it's a pretty cheap purchase. It does 7 players, so it does the horrible player counts.
I haven't seen it in Estonia, so I don't know.
And it's a very small box.
Yeah, small box, small palette. Definitely, like I say, is skewed in the alien's favor, but it just adds a bit of a challenge. I usually give the complete newbie the alien, give him a bit of a leg up, and then the rest of us, because this is one of those games where I don't mind if I play the good guys.
Okay.
Because I want to play the baddie, I want to play the traitor, and as much as I love playing the alien, I'll gladly play the good guy in this because there's still that fear factor.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 3 is, it's a matter of perspective. I mean, like, let's say, like, for example, if you're a good guy, then the bad guy is a villain for you. But if you're a bad guy, thinking that you're doing good things for yourself, of course, then everybody else is a bad guy. Anyway, I'm talking about the Burgle Brothers, and I'm talking about guards.
Okay.
Guards are bad.
Okay, this I didn't expect.
I mean, but they are bad. I mean, they're chasing you all the time.
That's what
You're
guards
hiding.
do.
All you're trying to do is steal from them.
Yeah, I mean, I do nothing wrong. I just want to roll some dice, crack the safe, and go to the top of the building and fly off with my own helicopter. I mean, like, why do you chase me?
Oh, those casino owners, just so selfish.
That's the second version. Yeah.
Yeah, but the first version is The Office. But I mean, like in this one, is you're playing the bad guys themselves. You're kind of playing the villains, but you don't really feel like villains. You feel like, oh, I'm just trying to be the Robin Hood, in the story.
And heroically stealing a large diamond.
Yes,
yeah, like,
or a cat.
Yeah, but you're basically the Baldrick's version of Robin Hood in this. He's like, he steals from the rich, but he hasn't quite got round to giving it to the poor yet. He's like half.
I'm poor. I mean, like, I'm giving it to myself. All right, so yeah, but this one, it's a great cooperative game. It's a puzzle, a multi-layer, like basically scenery here, like the first, second, and third floor, and how the guards move. It's really smartly done in this game. Smartly, like programmed. Yeah.
I've never won it.
Oh, never? Oh, I've won it with a cat. We stole a cat. So I don't know. So we're good villains.
Oh, you stole a cat from the lair of the pussy demon.
Let's go. All right. So
That's
guards.
That's going to be your weak choice, I think. Although
guards are evil.
They're doing a
Trust me,
job.
people.
So first animals, now guards. It's like...
Quit this job. All right. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. All right, let's go. Let's go to number 2. Let's save the day. All right, that was my banner there. But
right.
Kyle, your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is a character that shows up in the last expansion for this game, but it is a big, big bad. The character is Oblivion, the cosmic entity and destroyer of all, from Sentinels of the Multiverse, particularly the Oblivion scenario.
Almost made my list.
What?
I mean, this is an all-consuming threat. It fundamentally changes the game, right? It changes a lot of rules, and you're just going in these various areas and trying to whittle. I mean, initially the thing has 10,000 hit points, so you've got to find a different way to deal with it. And then it sort of goes through various phases. And the game, if you found the game complicated, this complicates it, to a factor of 4 probably.
Yeah.
You're going to need a separate brain or two sitting beside you to process some of the things. But it is just an epic story. When you play this scenario, you know what you're getting into. You're getting into a really long or really short game. And it's just, there's so many different ways that this fight can go, depending on which of the various scions come out. This is a very big villain, and it has a lot of great story moments, and I just really enjoy it. Oblivion.
Yeah, he almost made the list. This is the Galactus level threat for Sentinels in the Multiverse, and anytime someone says, "Oh, should I get all the expansions?" I tell them not to get this one because this is more my expansion because I'm used to the game, love it, and can handle the complicated nature of it because, yes, it has a lot of it, and this is a factor 12 levels of it. But my God, I have never had more epic thematic fights than playing against this guy because I mentioned Kang being like, oh, yeah, he'll be a big bad MCU, and you've got the multiple timeline thing. This is like playing through the Infinity War comic.
Yes.
Every hero in the entire game potentially coming up because you don't lose until the baddie succeeds. So even if your guys get taken out, you bring in another hero. It's like all the heroes just come together. And because I've got the whole collection, I've got the variants.
Yep.
I did win against him in one game. It took hours, but oh my God, it was fun. But I had story moments galore, like characters coming in at other times, and I used the variants. So every time like Legacy got killed off, I brought in a different variant of Legacy. So it was almost like we dragged in like 6 different versions of Legacy for the game.
Right.
He's awesome, but yeah, he is a bookkeeping monstrosity.
Yeah, I haven't played this one. I played the base game. I had a few expansions that added a few more villains. I really like the game, but the bookkeeping and everything else, I don't know.
Yeah,
I couldn't go on with that.
It gets to that level. I've gotten used to it. I can handle that booking thing, especially if you set the cards up in a certain way. Like bring them out set them up in the order they came out, follow them left to right, and it can make things a bit easier. And usually, if I teach this to players, I handle that bookkeeping.
Right.
I tell them, look, this is what's happening. Don't ask me why. This is just happening because I know I'm getting it right, but they don't have to worry about it. They can just get into the theme. But yeah, Oblivion is like, this is for me, not for you.
It's not the one to teach new players at all.
I thought that would be the. Maybe not particularly this one, but I thought you would have, or maybe you will. Oh wait, maybe you will have somebody from. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil that.
I will neither confirm nor deny what your suspicion is, but
Yes. I just realized that you could pick someone else there. All right. So, and you're number 2. And should I just type in Sentinel's Multiverse here?
no. You could type in Weaver of the Cosmos in BGG. This is back to Arkham Horror. This is Arkham Horror the LCG, so the card game version. This boss is not just when you fight the boss. I mean, when you fight this bad guy, it's a very good scenario, and it's one of the more unique ones they've done. The entire cycle that features this boss I have never been more scared to play a card game than playing this cycle, because if it isn't already apparent, I'm an arachnophobic. So spiders are not something I like.
Oh my God.
That picture, look at that thing.
Oh my God. No.
This is my most feared god in all the Arkham Horror games. I mean, it looks different from the second edition Arkham Horror version, because the second edition Arkham Horror version has like a inquiring human face on it. And if you see the second edition Arkham Horror version of it, it's bad. But I think she's called Attack Naka or something like that. Some weird pronunciation of it. But she's effectively, a giant spider god. She's with the Dreamland cycle for Arkham Horror LCG. So you're already in this weird world. The spiders are coming through to the real world. In fact, the first scenario you play in a doctor's ward with the spiders coming through, it is one of the scariest experiences I've ever had, because I just don't want to flip any cards for what stuff you see in that. But in that scenario, she's, as far as I'm aware, the lore is she's spinning a web between the Dreamlands and the real world. And as soon as she completes this web bridge, the two realms merge and everything goes to pot. So it's basically stop her making that bridge. In the scenario, you're in her lair and she's kind of ignoring you for the most part. She's too busy building her web, but she's so big, if you think in scale, that she's got her card, which I think is like a dual facing version of what you got in the picture. But then her legs are separate cards. So it's almost like creating the spider out of the different cards. Yeah, that is just the leg. But you've got to go around this ring of locations and take out the legs so that she unbalances and falls off and stuff like that, whilst dealing with all the other spider minions that might come out, which are freaky enough as all gut out. But the scope of this scenario is just really cool. It's unique in the fact that the boss is a multi-card monstrosity, but because it's also my biggest fear with the cycle in general, it's like, that's it. So she's a 5-card monstrosity that rotates around, so her legs are in different positions. And it's just like, it felt good to take her out, but my God, I feared for my life in this game. So I thought, if I get driven insane, this will literally be my nightmare. But yeah, no other boss in the Arkham Horror LCG has made me so glad to get to the boss and deck her out. You know, it's like you have scared me through several scenarios in this campaign, you know, and now I'm finally going to deck you out. But easier said than done. She's a very tough scenario.
Okay, no.
She is very much the nope. You want fear in a game, you put an arachnophobic up against this person.
Okay, let's just put some fluffy animals here. No, I'm kidding.
No cats on the base of that one is going to make it any less monstrous.
All right. Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. That was a great choice. To be honest, I am. Oh, that's scary. That's.
It's a villain in a board game that just makes me fear the villain. It's like,
yeah.
Legitimately feel fear. It's like,
I would be scared to play that one. All right, let's go to more of a fluffy friend, though. I mean, that villain is like, you have more story elements in Clank Legacy about this villain, but he's in a base game as well. I'm talking about Dragon in Clank, and you can go with the Moloth. What's the name of the dragon? Remember that?
I forget his name. I just call him useless.
Yeah, but I mean, no, but I mean, he's the one that's basically the dragon is the one that hears your noise and then you have to pull out the cubes. It's more of an abstract feel of a villain here, but if you're on a verge of death and you have like 1 or 2 spots to go to get out of the part where you'll die and you will never come back, you want to get to the ground level, basically. That's where you really feel stressed about the dragon, and that's where the dragon feels like a real villain. So my choice for a villain is Dragon in Clank. Don't laugh at me.
No, the choice actually makes sense. That's perfectly fine for a choice. I didn't latch on to Clank as much, although I do like deck builders, usually the pure ones, but I've just never seen this dragon do anything. Like...
No, I mean, if you play Legacy version, you'll get some story bits with him. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I mean, like, just those story bits are really cool.
Yeah,
he can be annoying.
I'd like to play Clank Legacy if I get the chance and see if that's an improvement for me. And I think I played an expansion to Clank, the C one, which I thought was a bit better. But I remember, like, every time I seem to play against the normal dragon in Clank, I just never see it eat anybody, apart from occasionally at the last second where, like, the character has already lost the game anyway or something. But it's just like, I'm sort of like, yeah, dragon, do what you like. I'll just make some noise. Yeah. Oh, you bit me. Oh, well, I'll just heal from this spot here. And it's just like, dude, am I supposed to fear you? I'm not entirely sure.
It could the dragon has a loud mouth in Legacy version, so
it does like a bit.
I'd like to add a story element with it. And like I said, the choice works. People will tell me that they've had the dragon eat half their players half the time. It may just be luck of where my games have gone.
Sure.
You just have to push harder into the dungeon, into the abyss of this.
Half the time I walk in with a brass band, I'm like practically like trying to like, seriously, just come out and try, man.
You're lucky.
Maybe.
I'm not so lucky. All right. So let's put this one away and go to number 1. All right, Kyle.
All right.
Is this another abomination thing?
Redeem yourself, Kyle, from all the other choices you've done.
I don't know if this will be redemption, but for me it is. I told you that I tried to keep from picking more than one villain from a game, and I succeeded on every one except my number 1. And that's because this is the most iconic villain from the game, and that is Baron Blade from Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Okay.
He's not the hardest, but he's so involved in the story, and where he's one of the basic sort of first level villains, and then he sets up the team of villains, not the Sinister Six, I forget their name, but
he's basically he's the parody of Lex Luthor. He's essentially like a Doom parody.
Yeah, exactly. He says, I guess it's the Fearsome Five. He comes back as a mad bomber, and he's woven throughout the Oblivion story. If you want to listen to the 2.5-hour podcast from Greater Than Games, where they go through all the story bits, he's a big part of that. He's just this iconic villain. He lives in a place between Latvia and Lithuania, and he
know more about it than I do.
He lives in Mordengrad, which of course isn't a real place, but it's in Latvia or Lithuania. He lives in Lithuania, and he's just this sort of bumbling sometimes, but also delightful kind of character. You can play him as a hero in one of the in the Oblivion campaign or story. So
he's very good, actually.
Yeah, he really is. He builds all these robots. He wants to blow up the moon. There's there's in this artwork of he doesn't want to blow up the moon. He wants to pull it into the earth, and does so as part of the fight against Oblivion. He's just this very interesting, fun character, and even if he's not the biggest challenge to dispatch, he's just so involved in the game that Oblivion is a bigger villain, but this one is just more, saturated in the game.
Yeah, he was the original one. He was technically the easiest villain, although playing on the advanced mode, and he gets a bit harder.
You can't hit him.
But yeah, he's just your classic villain. He's your classic Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
I played against him.
Robot suit.
It's tough. It's tough. I played against him. Yeah, classic villain, I would say. That's
I didn't expect this though, because I mean, I didn't have a problem with you picking two from the same game or license, but I'm not going to complain if you pick 2 out of Sentinels, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I play a ton of Sentinels, so
Yeah. I didn't expect to see another Sentinels one when you picked Oblivion as your first one.
Do you know each other? That's weird. Anyway, what's your number 1, Luke?
Yeah.
So should I go back?
Is it okay to talk about the same game 3 times in a row practically? Yes.
That's fine.
Yes, I did have a Sentinels choice on my list. I
The
didn't
ban button.
because I stuck rigidly to the rule of 1 per game. So I had to decide between Oblivion and this one. This is the favorite villain I like to face in Sentinels in the multiverse, though, because of the way the dynamic of the game changes. Not to mention the theme of it is good, and she's called the Dreamer. She's one of the popular villains in the game, but also one of the hardest. So she's relentless. But
she is.
Villains are: I'm some bad guy. I hate you. I want to kill you. I want to dominate the world. I've got slaves. Whatever. The Dreamer is just a young girl with psionic nightmares, and all her nightmares are basically made flesh. So everything that she dreams about, nasty minions and that, are just constantly coming out and screwing the world up. Now, it's relentless as all get out, so it's already a challenge. You know, you've got to beat back a ton of these minions that have got various effects. But what I love about this villain per se, because she's not really a bad person, is that she's got a health rating, 6 hit points. So as well as trying to dish out these minions, normally you could go, right, I'm just going to nuke the whole area and that's not a problem. But you can't, because if you take her out accidentally, you lose because she's just a child. So you've got to try and deal with all these villains whilst protecting this young girl from, area of effects or other things. And 6 H points is not a lot. I have to feel bad if I'm doing a thing that's like, this is going to hurt everybody for 2 damage. Yeah, but I've got to kill all these monsters. Yeah, but the girl, look, she can handle 2 H points, all right? It's like, we'll apologize to her afterwards. Kill the minions. It's somewhat questionable at times, but, I just find thematically she's a fun villain. Well, fun deck to go up against. It's hard. It's challenging. She's level 3 difficulty. And, it's as close to 4, I think, as you can get, without being stupidly hard. But I love that extra, just that little dynamic of the innocent party that you can't kill. It really does throw a number on the game.
Well, and in terms of the theory, she's the story of the game, she's the younger version of one of the heroes. She's the younger version of the Visionary.
That makes sense because, all right, I haven't read up entirely on the comic lore now, apart from what I see in the game for that. But yeah, that makes sense because, she kind of does look a bit like the young version of Visionary. That's we can't kill the hero that's to be.
Yeah. And if you want to make her extra hard, you can play on the advanced mode where if she takes any damage, she dies.
I rarely play on the advanced mode for any of them because I just think that's going a bit too hard with the thing because I want to enjoy it as well as have a challenge. And she's hard enough on normal mode, but yeah, that would just be ridiculous. I can't even touch her. It's like, seriously, do you want me to take out these minions? But yeah, there was going to be a Sentinels one. I just had to think, is it my favorite villain to play or is it the epic Oblivion? I had to make a choice. All
right. Yeah, I think that's a viable choice. I remember her. She's hard. Yeah, she is to work with. But
you mind if I just poked you slightly? It's for the greater good. It's
that's okay. Man, that's fine. That's fine. You're far away. I'm safe. My number 1 is from an epic game that I love for the
Tiny
experience. No. Tiny Epic should be just normal size board games. But I do like few. But this one is from Awakened Realms, and I'm talking about Nemesis. And because this basically villain creates stories, and of course I'm talking about the aliens in this game, but I'm talking about the Queen Alien. I mean, she's badass. I mean, if she comes out,
You're
we're
dead.
lost. We're dead. But wait. The thing is that there was one game where one of my fellow companions died. We played the cooperative version, and I had few bullets in my gun, and I tried to run away from all the other aliens, like minions, whatever they are. And then I bumped into the Queen Alien, of course, and I tried to deal with Queen Alien and do whatever I can because I couldn't run away from that. She was just chasing me. I was out of bullets, so I was starting just punching her, just punching. And the thing is, I died, and the Queen Alien died. I punched her to death, and I was so proud. Yeah, that was an amazing experience. I don't know how
she bumped her head on the door as it was coming down, didn't she?
Yeah, if you could just imagine the scene. I punched her to death. I was kind of still alive, but that was my last breath, and I was like, I'm done, and then I died basically. But it was just such an epic moment, and I really felt like she's a badass. You know, she takes out few cards, you know, and it's really hard to kill. Basically impossible to kill. You have to run away. Yeah, but that's the villain. That's my Cthulhu, you know.
I was kind of expecting like bit like with Shadows over Camelot, like the player as the villain or something. I mean, I must admit the Queen is the big baddie and she looks awesome on the field, but it's a bit like that first reaction of the Queen's out, right? We're dead. Like run. I mean, granted, it's the threat, and you know the single big alien can't. I mean, it certainly does bring back the xenomorph vibes. Speaking of which, if you've not played Alien Isolation, play it. But
okay,
yeah, interesting on that. The stories I've had with Nemesis, so because I did back the Kickstarter recently for All In, I've just played my mate's copy maybe, but I want to play it solo more. And yeah, the stories we've had are probably less glamorous in terms of how things go. I do remember one as I think a semi-traitor in a sense. Like I thought, right, I've sorted my stuff out. This is all good. Queen appears. I've got to run away from it. And I basically go, right, well, as long as the ship carries on in its current course, I'm good. And I've already set it and everybody else is too busy like trying to get away from the aliens. So I park myself in the pod. Not pod, what do you call it? The sleeping cubicles, whatever, suspended animation things where you start from. So I park myself in there. The Queen can't get in them. So I'm just basically there just sort of like, you know, the Queen as it's trying to get in. And I'm like, I'm safe. I'm going to win this fine. The problem was, once you get in those pods, you can't then influence the rest of the game. And by fluke card event or whatever turned up, the self-destruct got activated. So like one friend I'd already killed off, and it's like, good, that's my mission done. Another guy failed his mission because we were going the wrong way, but he just got into an escape pod and flew off into space somewhere, whatever. He died his own means. But I'm just basically sort of at first thinking, I've got this game. I'm good. And I'm just mouthing off the Queen. And then I hear the health self-destruct mechanism go off. It's like, uh-oh. So basically, I just go to sleep, blissfully ignorant of the fact that the ship blows up a few turns later.
You went peacefully. That's fine.
I went peacefully in my sleep, but it was just the ultimate, like, screw you, like, bad luck moment of just like, I've got this, I'm good, self-destruct. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
This one creates stories. I remember one particular play as well where if you're playing cooperative mode, you can revive your teammates by dragging them to the emergency room. And I had one guy die on one spot. So I went there. I was a soldier, so I have the backfire. So I grabbed that guy. I played backfire. So there were aliens. I backfired the aliens, ran away. They started chasing me. And then a few others surrounded. I told the guy that I'm going to save you. I'm going to get you to the emergency room. And at some point, I was like, wait, sorry, and they just threw him away and ran away. And the
Coward.
aliens, yeah, the aliens surrounded. I was like, no go. I cannot get to emergency room with that dead weight on me. So sorry. But he was so hopeful.
I've not
I was
played the
so-
co-op mode yet.
Oh, I like the co-op mode a lot because that's where if you can revive somebody. I mean, it depends. The semi-cooperative can work and can ruin the game as well. Depends on the people. Depends on the gameplay itself, the luck of the draw, basically. But in cooperative mode, you at least feel. I don't know. You can cheer on others while you're dead.
I
Or whatever.
want to try it. I know too many people that probably wouldn't play the co-op mode, but I would like to because I like the co-op games. But it makes more sense for you to be like going up against a foe that's infinitely more powerful than you anyway, without having to have the corporate guy on the side being a.
All right, so that's my pick for number 1. And that's basically it for today's episode. It's really long, I know. But
Watch it in bits.
well, yeah, I mean, like, no, it's gonna go up on. Yeah, it's gonna go up on YouTube, but I'm gonna put this timestamps. So if somebody wants to watch just the top 10, you can watch just the top 10. It's easy, you know. You can skip, you can forward stuff. It doesn't matter. It's more of a podcast here, but it was fun.
Yep.
Well, then, 2 hours 50.
Yeah.
Talking about games. And
But look, do you want to say something? Do you want to throw in some words of wisdom? How not to be a villain or how to defeat villain? Whatever, I know.
Always be a villain in games if you can help it. It's more fun. It's not words of wisdom. It's just fact.
How to politely avoid playing Felt? Tell us.
Just don't play them. Not worth
it.
I understand, but it's like, I don't know. All I would just say is that playing a bad guy in games is fun as long as you just don't take it too seriously when you get beat down by them sometimes. You mentioned the Shadows of a Camelot thing earlier or something. It's like, no, if the villain ruins your day, then the villain ruins your day. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Fine deal.
Look, where we can find you, except on this stream here.
Well, Broken Meeple on YouTube, just type in the name. I mean, it's been plastered across the screen, the entire thing, so at least people have got it in their heads now. Facebook and Twitter, you'll find me. Chances are I'll be sharing this video out anyway to tell people to watch it, so to get it on. But yeah, just search the name. You'll find it.
All right. Do you answer to letters as well?
Letters?
Yeah. Like usual pigeon ones. Yeah. No.
The day and age you living in. I mean, I've got an email address, brokenmeeple@gmail.com, but that's mostly for suggestions. And now you guys have yet to send me a promo video. Actually, you need to hurry up and do that because I do promote smaller creators on my channel at the end of all the videos, so they always get a shout out and say like, "Oh, thanks for enjoying, but check out this channel as well." And you guys are overdue to send me something, but
I should. I just gonna get around that, doing all this stuff. Oh, so yeah. Anyway. I know I'm weird, but that's fine. Thank you everybody for watching. That was Würfelcast episode 23. We're gonna get back to another episode in a month, I think, or 3. Oh, maybe 3 weeks. Yeah. It's gonna be harsh.
Give people time to watch this one.
That's true.
Anyway, thank you everybody, and bye-bye.
All right, cheers. Take care, all.